Everything sucks, then you die. I guess the way it goes. I don't know. Jesus Christ. I'm watching a lady get kicked off the plane for being in the correct seat. And Spirit Airlines tried to tell her she was in the wrong seat. And she's got her ticket and the app and the seat row she's supposed to be in. And Spirit Airlines is kicking her off the flight. I don't know. Ridiculous. They even went to the captain of the plane and they're like, well, if this was all a mistake, and the captain's like, well, she's not complying. And the cop's like, yeah, but she's in the right. Should she comply?
Burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They want to let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away. We feel
That shit's wild, dude.
never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world burn away. Burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake it through the back of the pack. Kill it anyway. To blame. Hate is face
But I can tell you this about if this douche,
I hate it here.
this particular,
I've decided.
you don't have.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, guys. Welcome. I'm Will Bird. This is Cold Beer Confessional. Life, the world, America. Everything sucks right now. And no one really knows why. I mean, it's mostly Trump, right? And ICE and everything that goes along with that. But still, it's pretty bad. No? Where to start? One, we got a giant camper out of the campground today. So there's that. If you saw my TikTok, one of the gigantic like RVs. It's a Class A RV, but it was pretty short. It's like a, I don't know, like a 22 foot or something. The towing company showed up and took that today, and I helped out with it and made a video. That was pretty cool. It's gone. But that's about it. Everything else sucks.
But with the old women.
Here's some MAGA people getting exactly what they voted for.
Well, here's your notice that it is so hard to be a full-time working mom, as well as a full-time stay-at-home mom with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old.
She said
I just got fired
it's so hard to be a full-time work-from-home mom and a full-time stay-at-home mom.
from home mom, as well as a full-time stay-at-home mom with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. I just got fired because I couldn't keep up with the old women who work from home who have no children.
Uh-oh, bitch. Are we figuring out what the
So her profile says, "Hey, I voted for Trump."
fuck that I was for in DEI, bitch? Now you figuring it the fuck out. Inclusion. You wanted some understanding. You wanted to not be left out. You wanted special treatment. No, bitch. Pull your own self up by the
So she's basically complaining that she got fired from her work-from-home job because other old women that don't have children in the house or never had children do it better than she does. She's like, I can't keep up with them because I got 2 kids.
motherfucking bootstraps that y'all bitches like to talk about all the fucking time. What happened to y'all being hard workers and we get everything out of grit? Yeah, find that motherfucking grit. That's right, bitch. It ain't no motherfucking grit or grits in your motherfucking house. It ain't no sympathy under patriarchy, bitch. You voted for it. Live in it. Dwell in it. What the fuck you working for? You got a man, right? Make that man pay all your bills. He can't. That's why you was being a full-time stay-at-home mom, full-time working mom at the same motherfucking time, bitch.
Yeah, and she's one of these, like, aren't they like trad wives? Like, she's married to a man.
This motherfucker ain't bringing in shit. You can't even afford to put your motherfucking kids in fucking daycare. You sound like a motherfucking clown, bitch. And you got exactly what the fuck you voted for.
Well, here's your notice that
Damn. Anyways, you guys want to see the spirit video? Hold on, I'll show it to you. Now, I'll admit, the woman... Oh, that's part 2. We better go to part 1. The woman doesn't make it any better on herself, okay? But I could imagine if the cops are already there, that means that the Spirit Airlines people have probably spent the last 30-plus minutes trying to get her to move to a different seat when she's in the right seat. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would probably be pissed too. I would try to be more professional when the police got there because I know they're the people that are going to drag me off this motherfucker. So she doesn't do herself any favors, but I can also understand why she's so upset. I guess is what I'm saying. Here we go.
Camille, how are you? Deputy Soto.
I'm breathing. Exactly how I'm doing. I'm trying to get to a funeral.
I'm sorry.
Today.
Okay, ma'am.
Also, she says she works all day and she's got a funeral that night. That's why she's flying to Chicago.
Sorry about
Today.
that. But now,
I'm sitting in my assigned seat.
no, you're supposed to be at 37E.
No.
Ma'am,
You think I will make this up? You think I will hold everybody
right
up?
here.
It's also right here.
that's a screenshot, ma'am.
It's the app. View my boarding pass. Why would I make that up? Why would I make that up? It's unspirited spirit. You think I'm going to waste my
Ma'am,
time?
it says 13E.
That's where I am.
So the cop's like, ma'am, it says 13E. And she's like, that's where I'm at.
Okay, give me a minute. Let me see your phone. Listen,
No, don't hold my
I'm trying
phone.
to help you.
Are you?
Yes,
Because
I
didn't everyone else see this?
I came here respectfully.
I understand that, but I've been so
I'm trying to help you.
disrespected.
Let
Do you
me show
understand?
what
I'm just trying to get
I understand.
So yeah, she's very upset with the cop. But you could imagine how many people have been trying to tell her she's wrong when she's in the right fucking seat.
Chicago. I have a funeral tonight.
To be fair, I probably would have moved just wherever the fuck they told me to move. If they're like, this is 13E, and I'm like, that's my seat. They're like, go to 42A. I'd be like, okay.
I've been working all
Okay,
day.
I understand.
I don't
As
work.
long as I'm on the plane.
I know that.
I'm tired.
Okay.
I'm trying to be
I'm
patient.
trying-
I've lost my zen.
Okay, relax. Relax. Just take it down just a little bit. I'm trying to help you.
Then talk to
Okay,
them.
let me go talk to them, but I need to see the phone. I'm going to give it right back. I'm on body camera. I'm not going to take your phone.
I don't think that you're going to take my phone. I would just like to have my body camera. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Let me see what
I'm
I
not
can
from
do.
Florida.
Let me see what I can do. Okay? If you're correct, then everything should
Why
be
would I
fine.
make this up?
Well, because everything
And the cop fucks up telling her, if you're correct, then everything's fine.
is here saying that you're on 30. You're supposed to be 37E. So I don't know what the mix-up is.
They mixed it up, which
Give me
they
1
need
minute.
to fix.
Let me see.
That's not
That's
my
the app.
So on their end, whatever thing they got, it says that she's supposed to be in 37E or something, and she's in 13E.
Right?
Yes,
It's the
it
app.
is.
Okay. Give me 1 minute. Okay. Let me talk to the guy.
That's the correct.
Hey, sir. I know it's on the app, though.
You know, she refreshed. She would have seen this.
A screenshot. Okay. She opened it up for me, so show me
It's not a screenshot. She's refreshing it.
how.
Yeah, I can show you this.
Let me see.
$11 too. Yeah, or two.
Like he refreshes it right there, then clicks on it.
This is on the wallet.
Your boarding pass, your ticket.
Tell her to refresh.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Okay. Open up the app. This is your Apple. This is on your Apple Wallet. If you open up your app, it's going to show you 37E.
Because they changed it.
Okay. If they change it, that's not our issue.
This is the app.
Okay. And what's the app say?
View my boarding pass.
Yes. What's it say?
13E. Do you think I would
Okay,
really
okay.
be like
All right.
real about this?
So the first one, it was still the app, but I guess he doesn't understand that you can carry boarding passes in your Apple Wallet if you have an iPhone. You do the same thing with your Google Wallet. So he goes back and makes her open the app, comes back, and she refreshes it, and she's like, no, it's still 13E. I'm in my seat. But for whatever he's got here, they gave this to him. That's not her ticket or whatever. She boarded with her phone. Whatever they gave him, they printed off something, and it says 37A or 37E. But both the things she's got, boarding pass in her wallet and boarding pass on the Spirit Airlines app, both say 13E.
Okay. I had to refresh it. Still saying 13E. She refreshed it. She refreshed it.
So the first flight attendant just says, no. I had to refresh it, but it still says 13E. No. Okay. So he goes to the next one.
Yeah, but I understand. But if she's refreshing it, 13E. It's not a screenshot. So I'm not telling you how to do your job. But if this is a mix-up, then somebody got to accommodate for me. Let me talk to that.
So he even says, I'm not telling you how to do your job, but if this is a mix-up, you guys should probably accommodate her, right? Like if the whole time she's been right, at least on her end, and for some reason you've had to change her spot, that's not, my fault or nothing, but you got to make accommodations to her. You have to tell her, hey, we did this because we had to change this because whatever, we'll offer you a voucher, because it sounds like it's way, way further back in the plane, but whatever.
I understand you. Hey, sir, there's an issue with her. On her app, it's saying 13E. So the thing is, with the ticket, her experience, something happened.
Now, the pilot's kind of a dick here, okay? I don't think the pilots thought this through because pilots are usually decently smart. Imagine you pay for a flight, you get your ticket, you get your boarding pass, you pick your seat, you go sit in your seat, and then a whole group of fucking 4 flight attendants come tell you that you're wrong, you're in the wrong seat, that you're going to have to move, that they're going to call the police, they're going to have you arrested, and you're like, I'm in the right seat. Because the pilot's like, well, the issue I have is she's not taking commands or orders or whatever.
But she's supposed to be, when she originally purchased the ticket, it said 13E, but now she's being told she got to go. So I understand her not wanting to leave, but something's got to give with her spirit then. It's not, you see what I'm saying? I don't want to kick somebody off who doesn't deserve to be kicked off because of a...
So the cop's trying to do the right thing. He's like, I don't want to kick somebody off who, you know, spirit changed her seat. And maybe that happens all the time, right? But someone's got to explain that to her. And it looks like she paid for a more expensive seat, and you're putting her in the fucking back or whatever.
An error. That's my concern.
Here's my concern. If she's not complying with flight instructions, that's a no-way.
No, I understand that.
She's not complying with our instructions. That's no bueno.
Flight instructions here, like she's not complying here.
No, I understand that. But my thing is, if this all started because of an error, you see what I'm saying?
So that's where video 1 ends. Okay. That's where video 1 ends. And video 2 apparently has a little bit of a gap in it because things escalated quickly. Also, we had this guy in the front row just casually chilling out in VR. He doesn't give a fuck, dude.
But I'm going to tell you right now. What's your name again?
All right, so this is another cop, and she's off to the side here. You're not going to see her in the video. This sounds like a different cop talking to her now.
But I'm going to tell you right now. What's your name again?
Why don't you ask her
I'm speaking to you. What's your name?
My name is Camille. You know my name.
I don't know your name. I didn't speak to you. So let's have a conversation like 2 minutes. So I'm gonna take that's fine. You don't want to have a conversation?
And if all these things really are happening, like she had to come straight from work, you know, she had to be packed before, maybe she had a bad day at work, she's going to a family funeral, like you could probably imagine she'd already be kind of edgy, but...
That's fine. Let me tell you what's going to happen.
What is their conversation?
You're going to come off the plane. If you refuse to come off the plane, I'm going to give you your last warning. If you refuse to come off the plane, you're going to go to jail today. I'm going to deplane everyone off the plane. I'm going to drag you off the plane. That's fine. That's my last warning. All right. She said she's not coming off.
No, but he said if I could get her to move, let's see if she can. All right. Thank you.
So, this cop, while that other cop was trying to vouch for her and was talking to the pilot, and the pilot's like, yeah, if you get her to move. Now, this cop's then went and pissed her off and told her, like, hey, you're either getting off the plane now or I'm going to deplane everybody and you're going to jail. But that other cop was vouching. So now this cop's going to try to go back, and that's not going to work, is it? No, it's not. She's already pissed. He already told her she was going to jail, bro.
I'm trying to tell you.
Everyone is sitting down. Everyone is sitting down. This plane.
No point in arguing with her.
And by the way, it doesn't seem like anybody is like waiting on that seat. There's nobody to her right. It doesn't look like it's a full plane. And if she paid for a more expensive seat, and like I would be pissed about that too. Like somebody needs to fix this. But this cop, the second body cam, is just like, no, get everybody off. Get everybody off. We're dragging her off.
All right, start your deboarding. We're going to take her into custody. Deplane the plane.
Deplane the plane. Deplane the plane.
That's it. She's definitely going to jail. Sorry.
And it's like that cop was looking out for her, and this cop is like, no, sorry. She's definitely going to jail.
Hey, Cap, you go ahead and deboard the plane. She's going to jail. She don't want to come on.
Sir, I'm sitting right in the outlet cross. If I give up my seat, and then
this is already out.
It's already done.
So this guy asked, can I give up my seat? I don't care. Can we still keep going? What's going on? It does not look like there's anybody waiting on her seat, though. That's so weird. This is where that sometimes, you know those targeted individuals I used to cover and I joined that group or whatever? This is how I feel like I would be a targeted individual. Like, not the government like spying on me, but like somebody fucking watching my whole life and throwing weird wrenches into, like I'd be the only person on a plane, right? There'd be like 6 people on a plane that holds 100 people, and they'd be like, sir, you can't sit there. Well, this is my seat. Well, we've got to make room for some other people, so you can't sit there.
From the aircraft. So everybody's going to be voting. Can you step with you? You go ahead and you keep everything there. You just said take it off. They have to take it off. I got it. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. Chicago, New York.
Chicago by now. I know, right?
You know, she let the guy come off and she sat right back down. She let that guy next to her come off and she sat back down. It's not gonna be good for her, I tell you.
It's like this guy wants a fight, right? It's not gonna be good for her, I'm telling you.
She can go off on her own without having the fall through off, but she's still going, yeah. But you know what? Disorderly, I guess.
That's the cop that wants to fight.
What's up, sir? Okay. We tried numerous times. I tried to help her. Yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what we're playing the plane, yeah. Nope.
Gonna come off the plane? Let us see force against you. All right.
You really want to go to jail? You really want to go to jail? The third time. Okay, let's not make it a second time or a third time. Let's just get off the plane. The final chance. Once the handcuffs go on, there's no negotiating. That's it. Get off the plane or go to jail.
I'm not doing anything.
What last chance? Off the plane or off the plane? Go to jail.
What am I doing?
I can tell you. Off the plane or off the plane? Go to jail. You choose. Right now. What do you want to do?
Get off the plane or off the plane and go to jail.
What do you want to do?
Then again, maybe she's planning a lawsuit and she's like, fuck it. Max this shit out. Maybe she's playing the long game.
He's asking you. Please stand up and walk off. All right. You stand up and walk off. You can rebook. 3, 2. If not, you're going to jail. All right. Stand up.
He even gave her the parents' countdown. 3, 2, 2.5.
Simple.
I was backwards.
Which one would you stop? In the bag. Put it in the bag, ma'am.
I mean, she's not being violent. It does sound like she's crying. Like, would you guys be surprised if I told you she was flying into Charlie Kirk's funeral?
Your blanket? Your pillow?
I made that up, but okay.
My car's upstairs. We just up by 325. You got it right something? Yeah. Hey, we request somebody ramp side, but I can We'll be back. There's somebody ramp side. There's somebody ramp side? Yep, I can see him. If you want to ramp side, yeah. Ramp side, go right here, right? Right there. Yep. Let's go. You open it?
No, I don't have it. Someone had to call.
I got it. Got it?
Careful now. Don't get me no trouble.
We're gonna Okay. Yeah.
What if I told you she Googled Charlie Kirk shooting the day before the Charlie Kirk shooting? Would that change your mind? What if I told you she's actually headed to Tel Aviv?
I know I'll ride with him.
She's not like combative or nothing. I haven't seen the end of this, so who knows? But as of right now, she's just like, I didn't do anything wrong.
I call it in front of 325. 325? Yeah.
The plane. I've always flown a cheap airlines when I paid for it myself, and then usually it was by myself. But when GE paid for it, they did better airlines usually. The magical drone black people net.
Right now. What's your name again?
And that's how it ends. But honestly, she was right the whole time. Like, it sucks. The world sucks. Everything sucks. This was funny. Trump telling a story about Peru.
You were telling us how dangerous Peru was?
28,000 people die a year from a snake bite, a certain snake. It's a
Now, 28,000 people die a year from a snake bite in Peru?
die a year from a snake bite, a certain snake. It's a viper, right?
This is a speech about Christmas.
Makes sense.
You might be thinking, naturally, you might be thinking, why snakes? Have you forgotten the immortal words of Tiny Tim? Oh, God, it got me. Suck the poison out. Hit it with a crutch, you idiot. Also, God bless us, everyone. That's how that ends. Also, quick fact check here. He said 28,000 people die a year from snake bites in Peru. That sounds over-exaggerated.
That's not over-exaggerated.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And don't.
That was pretty funny.
We have fact checkers, and our fact checkers fact checked the actual number of people who died from snake bites in Peru from the years 2000 to 2015, a period of time when one imagines the story took place, is.
So over 15 years. He said 28,000 people die a year. Over 15 years, 10 people died of snake bites. All snake bites.
A period of time
in Peru.
when the story took place is 10 total. In 15 years. Okay, so let's do that math. Let's see how far off he was. He said 28,000 every year multiplied by 15, factored into 10 over 15, and the answer is dementia. Now, there you go. Oh, I got you on that one.
And that was his Christmas speech. What the fuck?
You were telling us how dangerous Peru was.
That would probably get me a copyright strike, but still funny. What about Maha? You guys know Maha's going on, right? Make America healthy again.
Damaging year for public health.
The Maha movement.
Or the hate.
Get kids off Tylenol or whatever their plan is.
In this first year of the Trump administration, what has
for the hate? She even says for the haters. So rollouts. What's the best thing you got to shut up the haters? What do you got?
For the haters. In this first year of the Trump administration, what has Maha accomplished?
What a good question, because as someone who cares deeply about improving the health of Americans and follows public health policy closely, it's been an extremely damaging year for public health.
The Maha movement has accomplished more significant public health reforms than at any time in modern history.
That is a big, ridiculous statement. What have you done?
We have taken soda and candy off of snaps.
I would think the most stringent health reforms are when they went through and standardized factories, right? Like food factories, and you have to wear a hairnet, and you can't smoke, and you have to wear a lab suit and all that shit. Not JFK yelling about babies getting circumcised.
Ridiculous statement. What have you done?
We have taken soda and candy off of SNAP. SNAP is a $120 billion program.
SNAP restrictions, of course.
That's just going into effect in Tennessee and Virginia, but I guess they're going to do it federally, but the sweet, sugary things can't be bought with SNAP now.
A favorite of the conservative agenda.
We have transformational nutrition guidelines coming out in the first year. They're going to be coming out very soon.
You really just said SNAP restrictions and changing the dietary guidelines over 90% of Americans don't follow is what the Maha movement has done to achieve, quote, more significant health reforms than at any time in modern history. You should know something about this person. He's a political operative who actually helped get RFK Jr. to align with Trump. And he used to intern for the Heritage Foundation, the authors of Project 2025, which is the blueprint being carried out by the Trump administration to gut federal agencies, significantly decrease spending on social.
So the answer is they haven't done anything, right? They took the thing, they put the thing up that says the measles vaccine causes autism or whatever.
Safety net programs like SNAP and replace experts with partisan appointees.
That is one thing they've helped is the measles outbreak. Their team measles.
He was instrumental in creating the Maha movement and shaping a message about health based on eroding trust in scientists, doctors, and public health institutions, and that manufactured distrust became the cover to dismantle the very agencies that protect public health, weaken programs like Medicaid and SNAP, and push a deregulated corporate-first system that...
So I understand, us on the left hate Trump and everything he's doing. But even a lot of Trump supporters are now being affected, hate the things he's doing. They can't afford groceries. They can't afford anything. Is the goal to just collapse the country and then sweep in with like private firms to kind of pick everything up? Or is it just to make as much money as you can while you're there for all your friends? Keep the support as long as you can, but keep fucking those people too. Like, fuck everybody, right? Then when they can't stand it no more, we'll say, oh, well, you know, the government can't handle this problem. We're going to have to bring in private firms, which all my friends own.
Leaves people with the least resources even sicker. We actually have really strong public health data on what improves health at scale. Policies that strengthen the main drivers of health: access to health care, access to food, stable income, safe housing, clean air and water, and a public health system that can keep communities safe. And every one of those drivers has been weakened by actual policy under this administration. That's why MAHA exists, to distract from that reality. It's also why he doesn't offer a single evidence-based intervention or policy in this clip. Instead, he attacks the diet.
It's a friendly podcast that is literally there just to make you look better. That's the only reason you're on it. They're not going to challenge anything you say. And she says, wow me. Like, shut the haters up. What's the best thing you got? Well, we took soda off food stamps. And soon, we're going to change the dietary guidelines at some point in the near future.
Guidelines, which are already aligned with global nutrition research, pretending that changing guidelines no one follows will suddenly fix health outcomes. It won't. He's also intentionally attacking SNAP, which is one of the most efficient.
Well, did you see that we put pull-up bars at the airports? Bet nobody mentioned that one.
Effective public health programs we have.
God damn, it's 53 degrees in here. I'm fucking freezing.
SNAP directly reduces food insecurity and helps lift people out of poverty. This rhetoric isn't about health. It's about creating cover to cut the SNAP program even further through restrictions, which is something this party has pushed for years. If it were about health, they wouldn't be cutting nearly $200 billion from the program, which is what they did in July. And they would be funding SNAP education, which education and cooking classes that help families make healthier choices.
I don't give a fuck if they're buying candy and soda. What the fuck, dude? If you want to provide education for them, right, and say, hey, these are healthier foods, these are more calorie-dense foods, these are foods you should be feeding your kids, whatever. I don't give a fuck if they buy soda.
Budget. Instead, they eliminated the entire SNAP Ed program in July. That doesn't make sense if you're trying to improve health. But it does when the goal is to cut the social safety net for the people struggling most and to use the language of health as cover, because without that framing, the public would never accept it. That's why the MAHA movement exists, and it's why it's critical for this administration's pro-industry, deregulatory, anti-government agenda.
For the haters, in this first year of the Trump administration.
Haley,
see what else she's got.
Not perfectly.
But why is that? Why are they not getting enough when babies are perfectly fine 100 years ago without this issue? I'm not asking what, I'm asking how.
Haley, all babies were not perfectly fine 100 years ago. Have you ever wondered to yourself, why did parents 100 years ago have 10 kids, 15 kids? Why was life expectancy so low, but there were still old people? This is a graph of child mortality rate, children under the age of 5 from 1800 to 2020. And this horizontal axis is the number of children under 5 who would die per 1,000 live births. My own grandma was born here in 1917 when there were about 200 deaths per 1,000 children under the age of 5.
Damn.
She was one of 10, and 2 of her...
Some of this, like the 1800s, like half of them would die. That's insane.
Siblings died before the age of 5. 20% of kids wouldn't make it past the age of 5 100 years ago. Almost 50% 200 years ago. It is so wonderful to live today, but we cannot forget how we got here.
I don't know. I understand recalls suck, and we hear about them all over the news when they happen, but I kind of think it's a modern fucking marvel that we're able to package so many billions of fucking items and we rarely have recalls. Like, I think that's fucking insane.
And why we got here. Haley, all babies were not perfectly fine. Hi, I'm not paid by Procter
You are literally paid by Procter & Gamble.
Gamble. I don't even know why that relationship would make sense. And despite the constant accusations, I'm also not paid by a big pharma company or a big food company or a big chemical company. And I don't partner with supplement companies, even though they are the ones in my inbox every day with lucrative brand deals to sell their greens powders and their detox kits and their hormone balancing protocols. It's actually very important to me to be thoughtful and ethical about what I'm willing to monetize. So I primarily make money through your support. So if you value the content I create and want to help keep it going, the best way to support that work is through my Substack. I publish a couple articles a week, but even if you don't read those...
Yeah, VA disability got a 2.8% raise, I think. Something like that.
And you just want to support the work I do here, becoming a paid subscriber makes a huge difference. So if you...
Like $100 or some shit.
If you found value in what I do here, please check out my Substack. It's linked in my bio.
They just recalled several blood pressure medications and wipes. Okay. I understand that, and I said recalls suck when they happen. But how many billions and billions and billions and billions of everything else is sold every fucking day with no recall? You know how hard that is?
And consider becoming a paid subscriber, because every new subscriber helps me reach more people and do more of this work. Hi, I'm not paid by Procter & Gamble. Look at what was shared on the official Health and Human Services.
Thank you, at POTUS. Cane comeback. Coca-Cola has begun rolling out soda made with cane sugar nationwide in a 12-ounce single-serve glass bottle months after President Trump urged the company to bring back the ingredient. Well, this is like a special thing, right?
Account. And just so we're all clear, Coca-Cola added a new product to their existing product line. They didn't get rid of anything or replace anything. This is just a new product offering. And now
I think they've had that before too, right? Made with real sugar.
Government's public health agency.
They did Mountain Dew like that for a little bit.
Is promoting this new high sugar nutrient devoid drink on their official account. Help me understand. Our HHS secretary does free promo for Steak and Shake, highlighting their deep fried French fries, celebrates every time a candy or ultra processed food company promises to swap out a color additive and calls it a Maha win, promotes corporations who promise to make Swedish fish a slightly duller shade, advertises on official government pages new Coca-Cola products with the same amount of added sugar, plans to encourage Americans to eat more saturated fat, and hasn't done a single thing to actually regulate food corporations or meaningfully improve the food supply. And people are still like, at least someone finally cares about our health. Look at what was shared on the official.
And last but not least, one trend and true brand is
Hamburger Helper seeing an increase. Yeah, because it's cheap. Hamburger Helper's cheap to make. I grew up on Hamburger Helper.
making a big comeback as consumers tighten their wallets. And here it is, Hamburger Helper. The mix of mac and cheese and ground beef is seeing a surge in sales. Harris, I grew up on the cheeseburger Hamburger Helper, and it was very good with the extra cheese sprinkled on top.
So my mom uses satire, but it really does feel like the let them eat cake moment of our time. People can't afford groceries. Millions of people are getting notified that their healthcare premiums are significantly increasing next year, which will reduce their grocery budget even more. We cut nearly $200 billion from SNAP, the Nutrition Assistance Program, and gutted programs that supported food banks. And Fox News is out here reframing that reality as a big comeback for Hamburger Helper. The reason the MAHA movement has always been so dangerous is that they talk about the things we all want. We all want to see lower chronic disease rates, especially for our kids. We all want less environmental pollution. We all want a better food system. We all want to make America healthy. But that movement aligned with a political party that had no interest in improving any of those things, and it has served as a distraction where they can keep posting about MAHA wins like a company swapping the color additive in Swedish fish, or Coca-Cola adding a new option of Coke with cane sugar to their product line, while this administration enacts actual policies that are directly making Americans less healthy. Let them eat Hamburger Helper.
And last but not least, one trend and true brand is making a big comeback as consumers tighten their wallets. And here it is, Hamburger.
Insane, dude.
Does it bother you that they
MAHA.
used to say listen to the science, and now that the science is saying something that opposes their brain?
Make America hungry again because we can't afford any of the food.
Now we're all supposed to believe science is crazy? Maybe, just maybe, what we should actually do is look a little deeper into the procedures being used to create the science.
The procedures used to create science are what we call the scientific method. The problem is most Americans don't actually know what that is, and many can't even identify a hypothesis. And that makes us vulnerable to being misled. The scientific method is simply a systematic process for understanding the natural world. First, you make an observation, then you ask a question, you formulate a hypothesis, you test that hypothesis through an experiment, you analyze the results, and then you draw a conclusion. But importantly, one study isn't enough. Findings must be replicated, ideally many times by independent researchers, And if results can't be reproduced or different studies disagree, it means we need more research before drawing conclusions. What's amazing about the scientific method is it's transparent, measurable, and requires doubt and skepticism. You don't get to skip to belief, you have to earn it with evidence. And that's important because before the scientific method, humans relied on tradition, intuition, and anecdotes to understand the world. And for most of that time, for all of human history until about the last 180 years, life expectancy was about 30 to 35 years. But the scientific method changed everything. In just the past 180 years, it's helped us more than double global life expectancy. It gave us vaccines, antibiotics, sanitation, clean water systems, insulin, radiology, targeted cancer therapies, and the ability to treat diseases that once killed millions of people. It also gave you the phone you're holding, the lights in your house, the coffee machine you made your coffee with this morning, and the refrigerator that keeps your food fresh. None of this came from instinct, ideology, belief, or common sense. It came from a process, a method designed to test what works and discard what doesn't. People misunderstand what it means to trust science. When scientists say that, they don't mean science is perfect or that it always gets things exactly right the first time. They don't mean that scientists are infallible or that our current understanding is the final word. They mean to trust the information we currently have because it was produced through the scientific method, which is the most reliable tool we have for understanding the world around us. It's about following a method that has delivered extraordinary progress over a relatively short amount of time. And it's true that it can be slow and often unsatisfying to people looking for quick answers. That's what gives it power, but it's also what makes it vulnerable to bad actors who prey on people searching for certainty and fill the gaps in our understanding with pseudoscience, including politicians who exploit low scientific literacy for their own political gain.
Does it bother you that they used to say listen to the science, and now that the science is saying something that opposes their brainwashing, now we're all supposed to believe science is crazy?
I don't think you've got science on your side.
Did you know that shark attacks are strongly linked to ice cream sales? Like, they have a very strong correlation. Look at this. If you look at the data, they rise and fall together almost perfectly. A correlation just means there's a relationship, maybe by random chance, or maybe because of another factor or variable called a confounding variable. What we can't do is say that because of this relationship, one of these things causes the other. It would be absurd to create a policy prohibiting ice cream sales in order to decrease shark attacks. Why? Because even though those two things are strongly linked, selling ice cream is not causing shark attacks. Those two things are confounded by the weather. As it gets warmer, both shark attacks and ice cream sales increase. But ice cream
correlation, not causation.
There's a strong correlation between autism and organic food sales. A very strong correlation. As organic food sales increase, autism diagnoses increase. If I wanted to spread propaganda, I would rely on you to not understand the difference between correlation and causation, and I would show this graph and suggest that organic food sales were causing autism. I could even throw in a made-up mechanism like suggesting that the organic pesticides used are causing inflammation in our brain and that's what's to blame, even though there's no evidence to support this idea. This is just another correlation. Organic food sales are not causing autism. It is absolutely essential in this current media environment that we understand the difference between correlation and causation. Just because there is a relationship does not mean that one of those things causes the other. And many people who want to manipulate data in order to spread a specific agenda rely on us to not understand the difference. Did you know that shark attacks are strongly linked to ice cream sales? Like, they have a very strong correlation. Look at this. If you look at the data, they rise and fall together almost perfectly. A correlation just means there's a relationship, maybe by random chance, or maybe because of another factor or variable called a confounding variable. What we can't do is say that because of this relationship, one
insane.
With all due respect, you've been talking about fixing the healthcare insurance
and you
since
can't do it because of the Democrats.
But since 2015, you said you'd
I've been talking about it for a long time. We almost did it. We were one vote short. We would have had great health care.
Now, see, he's relying on you to not remember what he's talking about here, but we're not going to let that happen. So let's go back in time really quickly. When the Affordable Care Act was passed in 2010, about 50 million Americans had no health insurance. Costs were skyrocketing. Premiums had more than doubled in the decade leading up to Obama's presidency because we have a for-profit healthcare system that doesn't view healthcare as a public good, unlike every other high-income country in the entire world. And millions were locked out of coverage altogether if they had a pre-existing condition, things like cancer or asthma or pregnancy or even domestic violence injuries. Insurance companies would just say, nope, you're too high risk. Because of how broken the system had become, Obama ran on healthcare and won. He passed the Affordable Care Act, and as a result, about 20 million Americans gained access to coverage. Insurance companies could no longer deny people with pre-existing conditions, and costs were reduced for millions of low to moderate income Americans through subsidies. Republicans did not like this. They immediately framed the ACA as a government takeover, and over the next several years voted to repeal or defund it more than 60 times. But with Obama still in office, none of those efforts actually succeeded. But then Trump took office in 2017, and the Republicans put forth their own healthcare plan. Remember Paul Ryan? And the plan was basically just repeal Obamacare, eliminate subsidies that help lower-income families, push people with pre-existing conditions into high-risk pools where their premiums would skyrocket, and expand HSAs that primarily benefit higher-income Americans. All told, the CBO estimated that plan would kick 23 million people off health insurance. But it famously failed by a single vote in the Senate when Senator John McCain, despite his differences with Obama, cast the deciding no vote. His reasoning was literally that Republicans had no replacement plan. They would just kick a bunch of people off healthcare coverage, and that's still true today. There hasn't been a comprehensive Republican healthcare proposal since. If you remember, Trump never released a plan in this election cycle. He said he had concepts of a plan. It's just to repeal Obamacare and get more people off health insurance. That's the plan. Which is what they did with the Big Beautiful Bill last July, where the CBO estimates that 10 million people will lose healthcare coverage as a result of its passing. As part of that, the Republicans did not extend expanded ACA subsidies, which is extremely unpopular with the American people. Now the Democrats, as they do, have conceded based on a promise of fair negotiations by a party who has no intention of fairly negotiating this issue. And as a result, millions of people will see their health insurance premiums double or more next year. And when that happens, many will drop coverage altogether. That means fewer people getting preventive care, more delaying treatment until they're seriously ill and using the ER as their primary care office, and hospitals facing rising uncompensated costs, which get passed down to all of us. The result is a sicker population, higher long-term healthcare spending, and deeper health inequities, where wealthy people have a healthcare system that works and everybody else gets left behind.
But, Mr. President, with all due respect, you
Hold on just a second.
fixing the healthcare
Sure,
insurance
and you
since
can't do it because of the
2015.
Democrats.
But since 2015, you've said you've
I've been
fixed
talking
it.
about it for a long time. We almost did it. We were one vote short. We would have had great health care.
Now, see, he's relying on you to not remember what he's talking about here, but we're not going to let that happen. So let's go back in time really quickly. When the Affordable Care Act was passed in 2010, about 50 million Americans had no health insurance. Costs were skyrocketing. Premiums had more than doubled in the decade leading up to Obama's presidency because we have a for-profit healthcare system that doesn't view healthcare as a public good, unlike every other high-income country in the entire world. And millions were locked out of coverage altogether if they had a pre-existing condition, things like cancer or asthma or pregnancy or even domestic violence.
Sorry, I was hung up on that one.
To look like. I'm looking at kids as I walk through the airports today, as I walk down the street, and I see these kids that are just overburdened with mitochondrial challenges, with inflammation.
We're in a dangerous place. We have a pseudoscientific attorney running our public health agencies, using the wellness influencer playbook and not engaging with actual scientists, including senior career scientists within his agencies. You cannot look at a child at an airport and know that they have mitochondrial challenges. That's not a thing. It's such an absurdly specific thing to say, though. I wonder where he might be getting it from.
Diet and our lifestyle in the modern Western world. So past
He gets it from these crazy influencers. By the way, I just tried a new filter on my audio. Let me know how it sounds. But he gets it from these crazy wellness influencers.
50 to 100 years. So much of it is actually damaging the mitochondria of our cell.
Now, if you want to get more energy, you want to focus in on this amazing cell in your body called the mitochondria.
I'm going to share with you my healthy aging shake that I take pretty much every morning after workout. It's in my book, Young Forever, which you can pre-order right now, and the recipes in there is pretty awesome. And this is designed to build muscle, to help repair your mitochondria.
Our HHS secretary is getting his briefings and his information from anti-vaccine activists and pseudoscientific wellness grifters who make millions of dollars in many of their cases, getting you to distrust science and medicine in order to turn around and sell you a largely unregulated wellness product. And we are all at risk because of it.
And I know what a healthy child is.
I don't know why he's so obsessed with these health and fitness podcast bros. Like, that's weird, right? It's weird that he's obsessed with these people and just repeats everything that they say. It's weird to me. And then he hires his buddies that are known to, like, manipulate fucking autism studies to write the autism stuff. He's just, what the fuck? Also, Trump out here blaming the school for the school shooting.
On Brown University, Mr. President, do you know what the motive of the shooter was? Is it was
No, we don't. No, it's that's moving along now, and we don't. And we're going to see what happens. Hopefully, they're going to capture this animal. Hopefully, they're going to capture it.
Has Kash Patel told you why it's been
He says it's the school problem. It's the school's problem.
so difficult for the FBI to identify who the shooter is?
Well, it's always difficult. So far, we've done a very good job of doing it with Charlie, with, the various times this has happened. They've done it in pretty much record time. But you'd really have to ask the school a little bit more about that because, this was a school problem. They had their own guards, they had their own police, they had their own everything. But
why would identifying the shooter be the school problem?
you'd have to ask that question really to the school, not to the FBI. We came in after the fact. And the FBI will do a good job, but they came in after the fact.
The FBI always comes in after the fact. Always. Forever. The FBI is never, except the ones they set up with the Jews, but like an honest to God shooting, the FBI is never there before.
Do you know if it was targeted, Mr. President?
No, they don't know that yet, no.
On Brown University, Mr. President, do you know what the motive of the shooter was?
This was a school problem.
No, we don't. No, it's, that's moving along.
Let's see, is this the other one I'm looking for?
The security protocols yesterday were amazing.
Trump closer than ever on a Ukraine peace. It's not the one I'm looking for, but it's from the same press conference.
And they have been amazing, having to do with Russia and Ukraine. And I had a long talk with President Zelensky. Also, I spoke with the heads of Germany, Italy, NATO, Finland.
Yes, Elgato has a new filter called Elgato Focus, and I'm running it on my microphone now. It's supposed to block out some of the background noise because in the winter I run heaters and like the 3D printer's running right now, so I'm trying it out. I don't know if it's any good or not. Some people said it makes you sound like a robot at times. It's like AI, so it's supposed to be identifying what's voice and what's not voice and keeping the voice part together and fucking up, taking out everything else. So we'll see.
France, the United Kingdom, Poland, Norway, Denmark, and the Netherlands. We had very long and very good talks. And again, I think things are going along pretty well. 27,000 soldiers were killed last month. Shouldn't happen. Should have never happened. Should have never started. That war should have never, ever started. But it did, and we're trying to get it solved. That was Biden's situation. We're trying to get it done. And I think we're closer now, and they will tell you that they're closer now. We had numerous conversations with President Putin of Russia, and I think we're closer now than we have been ever.
It's Putin of Russia, by the way.
And
if he would have just said President Putin, we would have had no idea which one he was talking about.
See what we can do. We want to save a lot of lives. We sell equipment to NATO. We don't spend any money, but we do want to see if we can save a lot of lives. When you're losing 25,000 to 30,000 soldiers, mostly soldiers, or other people too, from towns, and like places like Kiev, various other places throughout Ukraine, it's pretty bad. Nobody's seen anything like it, actually, since World War II. But we're getting closer. We're having tremendous support from European leaders. They want to get it ended also. And at this moment, Russia wants to get it ended. The problem is they'll want to get it ended, and then all of a sudden they won't, and Ukraine will want to get it ended.
Because they're lying. They're lying, right? Russia's whole economy is on a war footing.
And all of a sudden they won't. So we have to get them on the same page, but I think that's working along. Very good talk. They want to see it end, Katie. They want to see it end. They all. I want to see it end. They want to see it end. I actually think that President Putin wants to see it end. I've had good talks. We've had good talks with Russia, and I think they'd like to get back to a more normal way of life.
Mr. President.
I have a question, chat. I bought a book for my mother-in-law for Christmas, okay? It's Dan McClellan's book. The Bible Says So. What we get right and wrong about Scripture's most controversial issues, Dan McClellan, TikTok's Data Over Dogma award-winning Bible historian, okay? And it's a really good book. The question is, can I read the book first before I give it to my mother-in-law, or is that wrong? Will it look like I've been spreading it open and it won't look like a new book then? What if I'm really careful? It basically goes through everything from like abortion to slavery to gay marriage and tells you what the Bible actually says about it rather than what they would have you believe the Bible says about it. And backed up by all of his sources, right? All the way to the Septuagint or whatever it's called. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Every source available, what's added, what's been put in there, what the spin on it is, where it came from, why they put this spin this way in the 60s and the civil rights movement, shit like that. It's supposed to be really good. Dan McClellan, we watch a bunch of his videos here.
Follow up there, an Article 5 deal seems to be emerging without NATO membership for Ukraine. If such a security guarantee is offered, what incentive is there for Ukraine to give up any sort of territory?
Well, look, you have, they've already lost.
If you're not going to give them any security, why would they give up any territory? Why wouldn't they keep fighting?
Lost the territory, to be honest. I mean, the territory is lost. But in terms of security guarantee, we're working with Europe on it. Europe would be a big part of that. And we're working on the security guarantee so the war doesn't start up again. We don't want to have a war start up again. As I said, with Thailand and Cambodia, two people I get along with great. And I dealt with them, and I called them, and I said, look, fellas, you got to relax. You got to take it easy. They lost. They started the war again, and I got it ended. And things like that are going to happen. War.
19 wars he's ended.
About war, nothing good, and there's nothing you can do to predict what's going to happen. But I think we've made a lot of progress with respect to Russia and Ukraine. I hope. Last month it was close to 27,000 soldiers were killed, mostly soldiers, but 27,000 people, but mostly soldiers were killed last month in Russia versus Ukraine.
Is there a time limit on security guarantees?
Well, there's no time limit. The time limit is whenever we get it done. I mean, we're going to try to get it done. We're making.
Wait, you don't understand the question. God damn it. He's asking, are you going to guarantee security for them for the next 10 years? Is there a time limit, like an expiration to Well, there's no time limit. We're doing our best to get it done as quick as we can.
Progress. It's
That's right, Legend. I like the way you look at it.
I would have said that half of the wars that I got settled, some were going for over 30 years.
I don't think she's going to even read it, to be honest with you, because she likes to throw religion up for everything, including voting for Trump.
That half of them should have been more difficult, and they actually haven't been. There's a lot of dislike between the two leaders, you know that, and so it probably makes it a little bit tough.
Have you recently spoken directly to Putin? Have you recently spoken directly to Putin?
Yeah, I have. The security protocols yesterday.
The one I was looking for is actually this one. So you guys know Rob Reiner died, right? And it was his son that did it. And I guess his son's had a bunch of different struggles with mental health and substance abuse, blah, 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 whatever. Seems like it was his son that did it. I guess I can't be 100% sure, but the police seem pretty confident that it was his son. This is what Donald Trump posts on Truth Social and then is asked about it and doubles down. Here's the post. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. So Trump is blaming Rob Reiner's murder on him making people mad for being anti-Trump. He was known to have driven people crazy, in all caps, by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace. Now, I want to show you something else before we watch Trump double down on it. You remember the big thing was nobody could talk bad about Charlie Kirk. You're a horrible person if you make a joke or talk bad about him or say he was a bad guy or whatever. That was the standard. And this is what Rob Reiner had to say when Charlie Kirk passed away.
I felt like what his wife said at the service, that the memorial they had, was exactly right.
There was another utter tragedy last night. I don't know what to make of it. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But Rob Reiner, legendary Rob Reiner, I mean, meathead from All in the Family and really known as
your immediate gut reaction to the murder of Charlie Kirk. What was your...
Rob Reiner.
He was incredibly respectful, like he was over the top, and Charlie Kirk honestly didn't deserve that. Fuck Charlie Kirk.
Piers Morgan show after the
in his neck hole.
Charlie Kirk.
When you first heard about the murder of Charlie Kirk, what was your immediate gut reaction to it?
Well, horror, absolute horror. And I unfortunately saw the video of it, and it's.
Rob Reiner is just honest. He's just an honest Democrat. He's like, it looks like Trump, was mixed up with Russia. Russia controls him. He does what Putin's bidding. He's doing horrible things to like the healthcare system and research and poor people, and he's giving tax breaks to his. But he was just honest as like any Democrat. He wasn't like Trump's portraying him to be. He just didn't like Trump, like most of us here.
It's beyond belief what happened to him, and
and by all accounts, an incredible guy. Even if you weren't famous and rich or whatever, Rob Reiner, a bunch of people have come forward and been like, I met him, I talked to him, I knew him.
To anybody, I don't care what your political beliefs are. That's not acceptable. That's not a solution to solving problems. And I felt like what his wife said at the service, at the memorial they had, was exactly right. And totally, I believe. I'm Jewish, but I believe in the teachings of Jesus, and I believe in doing to others, and I believe in forgiveness. And what she said to me was beautiful.
Yeah, and I
an incredibly good guy. But here's Trump making this crazy post saying Rob Reiner died due to the anger he caused others from his unyielding, incurable affliction with TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession with President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all their goals. So he's blaming Rob Reiner's death. And a reporter's going to ask, like, would you like to make a statement? Would you like to take that back? Or are you going to stay with that? And he's like, well, he didn't like Trump, so I don't like him.
A number of Republicans have denounced your statement on True.
Multiple Republicans have called it disgusting, vile, evil. It shouldn't have been said, horrible. Multiple Republicans have called out this post.
Have denounced your statement on True Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said,
who cares? You told us if we weren't fans of Charlie Kirk that we just had to pretend like he was some type of saint.
Well, he was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career.
He's an actor. He's not behind the Russia investigation.
He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country.
A number of Republicans.
But if you say the exact same thing as Charlie Kirk, then you're inciting violence. You're turning the temperature up. You're like, I don't like Charlie Kirk at all. I'm not a fan of him at all, right? He probably died because his horrible right-wing fucking beliefs he espoused that fucking tried to eliminate people from our country. Fucking piece of shit, dude. He's such a piece of shit. I don't know why he's so goddamn horrible. Anyways, back to the rest of the country kind of sucking. We watched those clips. Maha, don't forget it. I can't believe this. Can Erica Kirk bring America back together bullshit story CBS is spinning? Can Erica Kirk heal a fractured nation? That's insane, right?
We spoke with Maria Corina Machado. She is the Venezuelan opposition figure who just won the Nobel Peace Prize. She's very inspirational.
That's crazy, right? Like, can Erica Kirk heal a broken nation?
To her followers, she crossed land, sea, and air in this covert trip that was very dangerous, all to evade Venezuelan authorities led by the Maduro regime, who don't want her to be standing on the global platform.
And she's a Trump supporter.
Democracy, as she did in Oslo, and as she does in our interview. I've been wanting to.
Right now I'm 3D printing a tube for my 12-inch squishy pickle.
She's very inspirational to her followers, but the question is, can she convince the American people and the Trump administration,
a carrying case, if you will,
on the Maduro regime to help her in her democratic movement? What we heard from her was that she likes the sanctions and the oil seizures. She wants more pressure, more strength. She praised President Trump's policies to date, and we know that this pressure campaign does seem to be building. She didn't necessarily say she wants military action. Would you welcome U.S. military action?
I will welcome more and more pressure so that Maduro understands that he has to go, that his time is over.
But she also acknowledged that so far the Maduro regime is not negotiating their way out of power. She said she is planning for the day after his exit, and she does plan to go back in, sneak back into Venezuela in order to continue that planning. So we'll share with you some of her insights into what she needs and expects from the United States and her argument to the American people about why it's worth it. And she says why this time regime change is just. We spoke with Maria Corina Machado. She is the Venezuelan.
It's always just for somebody. Regime change is always the goal of somebody, right?
We almost had a mid-air collision up here.
JetBlue is fucking pissed, dude. JetBlue, flying out of Caracas, is that where they're at? almost hit a military refueling aircraft. That's not they don't have the transponder on. Fucking Venezuela's Air Force is like a few F-16. Like, get the fuck out of here. You guys can have your transponder on. This is insane.
We almost had a mid-air collision up here.
A U.S. Air Force aerial.
They're going to say it was like 2 or 3 miles out, and people are like, 2 or 3 miles? Jesus, that wasn't close. When you're traveling several hundred miles an hour, that's very close.
Refueling tanker almost collided with a JetBlue plane just off the coast of Venezuela, according to a recording of a pilot's conversation with air traffic control. The flight took off from Curacao and was headed to New York's JFK. In audio from air traffic control, you can hear a JetBlue pilot report the incident.
Sir, we just had traffic pass directly in front of us within 5 miles of us, maybe 2-3 miles, but it was an air-to-air refueler from the United States Air Force, and he was at our altitude. We had to stop our climb. They're heading off.
Had to stop their climb, change their route.
To the northeast right now. They passed directly in our flight path. We had to stop our climb. They are not painting. They don't have their transponder turned on. It's outrageous.
They're not pinging. They don't have their transponder turned on. It's outrageous.
This comes as the U.S. military has stepped up its anti-drug trafficking campaign in the Caribbean.
Yes, I don't have anything on my scope. But there's been outrageous with the unidentified aircraft within our airspace. You are totally right, sir. Oh, I apologize. If you can make a note of it, we almost had a mid-air collision up here.
A spokesperson for JetBlue said, quote, "We have reported..."
That would have just killed everybody, right? Service members, everybody on board, everybody would have just died.
Reported this incident to federal authorities and will participate in any investigation. Our crew members are trained on proper procedures for various flight situations, and we appreciate our crew for promptly reporting this situation to our leadership team. CNN reached out to the U.S. Air Force for comment and was directed to U.S. Southern Command, who said they were reviewing the matter. They said safety remains a top priority. Last month, the FAA issued a warning to U.S. aircraft urging them to exercise caution when in Venezuelan airspace, quote, due to the worsening security situation and heightened military activity in or around Venezuela.
We almost had a mid-air collision up here.
A U.S. Air...
Fucking insane, dude. Insane. Is this new? 14 hours ago, this is Patriot Front.
This is footage of a training event organized by Patriot Front, one of the most active white supremacist.
They've got a combine here in Tennessee where they go and they're building buildings and they train and fight each other and shit.
Groups in the country.
Finish strong.
The group's leader says they aren't violent, but in January they were found liable for the brutal beating of a black man in Boston. I've been tracking them for some time, and earlier this year I noticed something in their propaganda. They appear to be using a private compound where they teach recruits and where violent fight clubs are held. The footage we're showing you from inside...
Somebody either, I guess they recorded it and put it on their own Telegram. I was going to say somebody wore a wire or something on them.
Shared online by Patriot Front's leaders. I've geolocated several of their videos to the same place, a 124-acre property hiding in plain sight outside the town of Tellico Plains in Tennessee. Now, we've asked Patriot Front for access. They've not gotten back to any of our requests, so we're driving there to see if we can get a better idea of what goes on. The property is managed by Ian Elliott, a leading member of Patriot Front.
It stemmed from...
Am I going to have to join the Patriot Front? Take them down from the inside.
The same desires that many like-minded, like-blooded people have for an intentional community.
What is fake? Fake! What the fuck does that even mean?
Private property, self-sustainable property.
Now, Elliot didn't...
They posted it to their own Telegram. They're pretty proud of it.
Didn't respond to my request for an interview, but we flew a drone over the site, and our footage revealed several newer structures, including a large gym where fight clubs are held. According to the property deed, this land's been owned since 2021 by notorious neo-Nazis. I looked back at several years worth of...
Here's their, through Google Earth satellite images, you can see them building buildings on there. Whatever they may be.
Satellite imagery, which shows...
I think some of them's living there last time I heard something about it. There's also one getting sued right now. We'll look that up in just a second.
Quickly, the group's been building here. We spoke to the group's neighbors, and we found rising tension in the community. We agreed not to reveal this woman's identity.
Yeah,
It's the fads, Trump's fads for some reason. That's why it's fake. And the juice. Did you look at the Google Trends history?
you're making us all scared to leave our houses, afraid that our kids can't like run out in our yards and play without running up on one of your people. It's peaceful here, it's beautiful here, and you're giving us a bad name.
Yeah, let me show you this. What is the what's the guy's name we like at the Nashville News? The old guy that does the investigative journalist. I can't remember his name. I'll have to Google it. Is it WKRN? Hold on. WKRN. James Comey. Is that it? No. All right, let me just find the news story. Give me just a second. Ian Elliott owns the Patriot Front property. I just said James coming because it was funny. I'm almost positive that I saw it in a local Nashville news story with the older guy there. Give me just a second to find it. He found out live on air. Hold on. He found out while he was live streaming. Here it is. NC5 Nashville. News Center 5 Nashville.
2 lawsuits. Wow. 2 lawsuits, huh? What the is going on here?
That's the moment that
Bill Williams.
John Manadio realized he was facing not one but 2 lawsuits over the hate that he has stirred up.
So he was on the live stream watching the news, finding out that he's got 2 lawsuits coming his way.
That second lawsuit was filed just this afternoon. It accuses the group, including Manadio and another prominent GDL figure, Paul Miller, of conspiring to violate the rights of area Jews with that incident at the Jewish Community Center.
The GDL is the Goyim Defense League that they started, and they're facing multiple lawsuits. And he found out live during his live stream.
Manadio and another prominent GDL figure, Paul Miller, of conspiring to violate the rights of area Jews with that incident at the Jewish Community Center. Ironically, Manadio and Miller are now engaged in a major feud with each other, giving each other a dose of the hate that they've inflicted on people who don't look and think like them. Of course, we'll keep following both of these lawsuits as they make their way through the courts.
2 lawsuits.
Uh-oh.
News to me.
I've been watching John Manadio for some time because he's a leader of a prominent neo-Nazi group that has spread hate all across the country. Most recently, my investigation showed how he was going online.
You guys know who Miller is. Paul Miller, he is Gypsy Crusader, We've covered him and what he does before.
Nazi group that has spread hate all across the country. Most recently, my investigation showed how he was going online into video chat rooms, berating children of color while trying to recruit white kids. This lawsuit involves an incident that occurred earlier this year when one of Manadio's followers went into Nashville's Gordon Jewish Community Center dressed as an Orthodox Jew, trying to force his way in and just create a scene. It is the second lawsuit filed by the Southern Poverty Law Center, trying to send a message that this sort of hate is just not acceptable. You can follow all of my investigations at newschannel5.com/hate.
2 lawsuits.
Some find out phase, huh? I like Phil Williams. He does a good job. That's what he said, right? newcenter5.com/hate.
2 lawsuits.
Filed by the Southern Poverty Law Center, trying to send a message that this sort of hate is just not acceptable. You can follow all of my investigations.
News Channel 5, not Center. Oh, not channel. It's got to be channel. They see Tennessee as a battleground, data points, rise of hate. What is this one? Hate comes to Main Street. QAnon comes to Main Street. That might be an older one, though.
And if you can bring joy to a child's life, why wouldn't you?
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we believe in helping our neighbors. That's why we partner with Salvation Army to bring magic to those who need it most with the Angel Tree. Join us and give with joy. Donate now at salvationarmynashville.org and make sure no angels are forgotten this Christmas.
Exclusive.
If you have an angel tree in your area and that's something you can do, apparently this year with the economy bad and the tariffs on and jobs and everything going on, there's, they're not getting their angel trees covered. So if that's something you can do or you want to support or maybe even make a cash donation so someone else can do it, reach out to your local, whoever's doing your local angel tree. It seems like everywhere I look up, every community, they're like, yeah, we're having trouble fulfilling the wishes on the angel tree.
Channel 5 investigation and new data appear to reveal a disturbing trend, the rise of hate in Tennessee. Hi, everyone. I'm Rory Johnson.
And I'm Hunter Hoagland. It is a month.
Fake. Who's on the land deed? Sheckelstein? That's what I thought.
Long investigation, all based on one simple notion. If we want to confront hate in our communities, we have to be willing to see it for what it really is.
Tonight, our chief investigative reporter, Phil Williams, continues his Hate Comes to Main Street investigation. Phil, you say this is not something we can just wish away.
Yeah, unfortunately not. My investigation of hate in our communities began last fall with Gabrielle Hansen and her campaign for Franklin mayor. As you're about to see, there's still a lot of work to do. But first, a quick warning. Some of what you are about to see is disturbing. This is what it looks like when hate comes to Main Street.
Ooh.
This propaganda video was
fake.
Produced by the neo-Nazi.
By the way, all these people got doxxed. Not a single one of them was a federal agent, which is what the far right claim. Oh, they're all feds dressed. All these people got doxxed in police body cam footage. The police pulled over the U-Haul, made all of them get out without their mask, asked them all for their names and their driver's license, and didn't redact any of their names or phone numbers. They all got doxxed. Not a single one of them was a federal agent.
Group known as the Blood Tribe, documenting its march back in February through the heart of downtown Nashville, a march that echoed familiar anti-immigration views. It followed a similar show of force back in November by members of the so-called Tennessee Active Club, the same group that interjected itself last fall into Gabrielle Hansen's unsuccessful race for mayor in Franklin, Tennessee. That same month, another anti-Semitic group, the so-called National Justice Party, took to Nashville streets with its own anti-LGBTQ message.
Yeah, they different ones.
And this is also what happens when hate comes to Main Street.
Struggle for gay rights drags on.
stand against this sinful sickness to date.
Larry Turnley was recently preparing for a roadside cleanup project in historically black North Nashville when he first spotted a KKK flyer.
And it had a black man, so an image of what would appear to be a black man with a white woman hugging her, and she had a black eye.
Pretty disgusting. It's very disgusting.
Yes.
And there were more.
I found one in front of this gray car and one right where those yellow things start.
So, and just lying on the pavement?
Yeah, just lying on the pavement. Look, one in the, look, you just found one.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Another one.
You just know.
They throw them out in Ziploc bags.
Another one.
This one we soon discovered carried a message printed in both Spanish and English that, quote, all illegals must go. Do you feel violated?
Oh, yes, because it's holy ground. It's holy ground with the history here in this community.
We're here in the case of Tennessee versus Daniel Lane Walls, case number
It's
3.
here inside the Murray County Courthouse where an 18-year-old black man was lynched from the second-story balcony nearly a century ago. Daniel Walls was just sentenced to 3 years in jail for some
Try that in a small town.
intimidation. Walls was the grand
Sons of bitches.
Knights of the Ku Klux Klan.
God damn, that cross-eyed motherfucker looks worse than fucking Cash Patel.
Jail for civil rights intimidation. Walls was the grand wizard.
Fake. Who's the maker of the robes?
Of the Old Glory Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, the group shown here in this cross burning. Last year, he and an accomplished plastered area black churches with his own racist flyers.
It does show us that, for whatever reason, they see Tennessee as a battleground.
Jeff Tischhauser is senior researcher with the Southern Poverty Law Center. He says racist graffiti and flyers provide a
No Zionists in government. We serve one nation. PatriotFront.us.
The rise of hate in Tennessee. SPLC says the number of racist flyers shot up from a reported 21 in 2018 to a whopping 268 last year. And Tennessee had the 5th largest number of racist flyer incidents last year, just behind Virginia, Texas, New York, and California.
So there's something going on in Tennessee that gives these groups hope, which is, again, a very big concern for us at the SPLC.
Ms. Henson, the people you're
Yeah, tell me about it. It sucks here.
have described themselves as literal Nazis. Is this the type of people you should be associating with? In the case of Gabrielle Henson, the flyers were clearly designed to intimidate people that the white supremacists perceived.
Stop corruption in Tennessee. That's Phil Williams. Phil Williams is an investigative reporter who is paid only to investigate one side of the story. He runs a slandering campaign against anyone who is not affiliated with a party that pays him.
To be standing in their candidate's way.
Having your face put up on a flyer around Franklin and saying you're part of Antifa, that hasn't happened in at least, I've been doing this work for about 10 years. I haven't seen it.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing.
Oh, whose voice are they using there? What is that? What is that overlay there? That's weird.
Work for about 10 years. I haven't seen it.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists.
They're rapists, yeah.
These groups like the Blood Tribe wrap themselves in the anti-immigrant message of Donald Trump.
I want people to come into our country in the largest numbers ever.
Perhaps hoping that the time is right for Americans to embrace.
There is actual anti-Semitism. Like, I don't understand what you don't. There's like people who use it as a crutch and say you can never blah, blah, blah. You can never say anything bad about us. You can't do this. You can't do it. But then there's actual people that are like, kill the fucking Jews. Like these people.
It's their own brand of hate. And in fall 2022, prominent Tennessee Republicans participated in a rally against gender care for children that drew a broad cross-section of religious conservatives, along with more blatant anti-LGBTQ protesters and far-right Proud Boys, a neo-fascist group known for its violent clashes with its enemies.
They look at the demographics here, they look at the policymakers here, and they see that they might have an in trying to push them and maybe Tennesseans in general to get, to become more extreme.
If you just look at
they usually cozy up to these politicians and claim that they are their security for them, right? The Proud Boys or whoever it is.
Rhetoric that's being spewed from up at the state capitol. And not only the rhetoric, just, I would say, the laws and the policies that's being legislated.
It's not a huge jump in your mind?
No, not at all.
Larry Turnley says it's time for Tennessee's leaders to take a stand. And just like the Blood Tribe's own video shows, what may be required is the courage of people who, like a young man on this day, chose to confront hate rather than remaining silent.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know what you guys are doing.
So they have to poison the well with lies and manipulation.
But you have a heart in there, don't you?
Coming in.
Powerful words there. I don't know who that young man is, although I sure would like.
Hold on, I'll show you them all getting doxxed in just a second.
Said, what you saw in this video is why his group is concerned about the upcoming election season, with groups that talk a lot about potential violence, may even be preparing for it.
So what can people do?
Well, experts say number one is don't put your head in the sand, recognize it, and do what we're doing, call it out, especially political language of any stripe.
I don't know what happened to their audio. A Jew set it down.
Or members of the LGBTQ community. Just basic human decency.
You're right. Thank you. Just disgusting, but it's going to take everybody calling it out to really make a change. Phil, thank you for your reporting.
I'll have to pause this in just a second. The state police pulled him over mostly for all the people in the back of a U-Haul. Like, you can't fucking, we said that before, you can't, like, that's not made for passengers. And in a lot of states, you're not allowed to do it. Some states you are, right? Probably the same states that you can have somebody in the back of a pickup truck. A lot of states you can't. So they pulled him over for occupancy where it wasn't intended for. Or maybe they pulled him over for another reason. That's what they charged him with. But hold on just a second. Let me see if I can find the unredacted version. That's all blurred. Yeah, I think this is probably, I don't know if they went, there is an unredacted version that exists. I don't know if it's going to be this one that I'm showing you, but they all got doxxed by the state police.
Begin tonight with new information on that neo-Nazi group that paraded through Little Rock on Saturday. The Blood Tribe.
That isn't the one I wanted. Hold on. I wanted just the body cam. Here we go. Arkansas State Police. Arkansas. We'll get there eventually. Hold on.
Hi. AIUAF. Apologize all over the road running class location from the east to University. Caller no longer behind him.
So they pulled them all out and identified each one of them. Made them take off their masks. Damn it, where's the body cam portion? Let's do this. I know it's on TikTok. I just watched it. This is just dash cam. I want the body cam. I know who did a video on it. That Dinesh guy.
Jonathan Wallace.
Hear their names? There's even a part where you can see the sheet where they wrote down everybody's names. Pulled their masks off.
H-A-N and then W-A-L-L-A-C-E.
Made them spell their names out loud.
Date of birth is 0513.
Date of birth. Zachary Platter, 36, from Bloomington, Indiana. Christopher Poolhouse, 38, from Louisville, Kentucky. Jonathan Wallace, 25, from Wayne City, Illinois. Bruce Sharp, 56, from Ocean City, New Jersey. Paul Gallo, from 21, from St. Louis, Missouri. Matthew Dwyer, 37, from Oldenburg, Indiana. Brian Hale, 45, from Springbury, Ohio. Robert Virtue, 36, from Shelby, North Carolina. Eric Adam, 29, from Sanford, North Carolina. Nicholas Fisher, 34, from Wendell, North Carolina. Damon McKee, 26, from Plattsmouth, Nebraska. John Miller, 28, from Gallipolis, Ohio. Keith Eflin from Cincinnati, Ohio, 51. Jonathan Schlosser, 35, from Algala, Wisconsin. Spencer McChesney, 29, from Odenville, Alabama. Daniel Aspen, 41, from Mount Olivet, Kentucky. Parker Burek, 26, from Petoskey, Michigan. Tristan Hudak, 37, from Peyton, Colorado. Matthew Morgan, 40, from Hickory, North Carolina. Chris Charles Miller, 31, from Miamisburg, Ohio. John Burt, 42, from New Buffalo, Michigan. Matthew Eaton, 54, from Lakeview, Arkansas. What was the New Jersey name again? Bruce Sharp, 56, Ocean City, New Jersey. Look at what fucking losers they are, dude. Technically, I'm an incel, which doesn't have anything to do with gender. I just can't get laid. Hey, kiss off. So they like somebody on well, here it is on YouTube said another out of touch boomer complained about anti-Semitism. Like, I don't agree that anti-Semitism shields you from everything. Like, we saw what's his name, Miller's wife the other day on a podcast saying, "You're calling me a liar? That's anti-Semitic." Like, obviously, it's not like a shield to hide behind to where you can never be criticized. Right? I don't like the money we're sending. I don't like how Israel's acting towards Palestine. I don't like how Israel acts in the United States. There's a lot of things I don't like about Israel and the Israeli government, and even fucking people that fly that banner or AIPAC and all that shit in the U.S. But also, there are people that are like, we got to kill all the fucking Jews because they run the world. That is that's the definition. City and state, birthday, first and last name, spell it. Fuck 'em. They were sided with, the people in the back of the truck, basically.
Can you hear that thunder?
This is what they were doing earlier in the day before they got pulled over. There they are getting pulled over. All in the back of a fucking U-Haul. Little Rock Police Department can confirm that on December 6, 2025, officers monitored and responded to activity of the group of protesters identifying themselves as the Blood Tribe on the grounds of the Arkansas State Capitol. They were observed to be on the sidewalk to Little Rock Central High School, where they were later seen climbing into a U-Haul style moving truck and leaving the area. This prompted a coordinated response to ensure public. Officers observed more than 20 individuals climbing into a large U-Haul box truck following the activity at the Capitol grounds. The vehicle traveled toward the interstate near Woodrow Street, headed eastbound, and LRPD officers continued monitoring the vehicle. Due to the number of individuals and reports that the members were armed, LRPD requested assistance from the Arkansas State Police to conduct a safe traffic stop. A stop was initiated on Interstate 440, just west of Springer Boulevard, where contact was made with the driver, identified as 36-year-old Zachary Platter of Indiana. 22 individuals were removed from the interior of the truck, and the driver was issued a citation in connection with the incident. After the stop, the individuals were transported to the Springer Boulevard exit and released from custody, and they were advised to arrange lawful transportation from that location. Don't get back in the U-Haul, right? Patrol officers remained in the area to observe and confirm the individuals left the location in private vehicles and did not pose an ongoing public safety concern. The Little Rock Police Department remains unwavering in its commitment to... we've also seen body cams where the police are just trying to stop like a riot from breaking out, and I can't really blame them. They just kind of usher them into the truck. They're like, get in here, go, just leave, just go. Like, I know a lot of people got pissed off about that body cam video, but can you really blame them? They just want them out of their fucking town. You know what I mean? Yeah, could they write them a ticket for riding in the U-Haul and make them all get individual cars? How much longer is that going to be protest and counter-protest versus just get in the fucking truck and leave, dude?
So
even the comments here are like, the feds are at it again, and laugh out loud. FBI agents. It's definitely the feds, all FBI. Is it Trump's FBI now? Like, what the fuck are...
So This afternoon, while some of my colleagues and I were downtown marching in the Christmas parade, this happened. These very brave, very competent.
It is pretty fucked up. It was at their Christmas parade too, right? Like there's kids and all those people there.
Individuals who, all but one of them, covered their faces, first tried to march through the historic Little Rock Central High School neighborhood. They tried to go protest on the grounds of Central, and they did get turned away. From what I understand, the principal and others were on it and got the LRPD to get them out of there because they didn't have a permit. Then they proceeded to march past the National Historic Site, down through a neighborhood street and over to Martin Luther King, where they took Martin Luther King all the way down to the Arkansas State Capitol and posted up in this particular spot. If you're not familiar with the grounds of the Arkansas State Capitol, when I started looking at this picture, I clocked immediately where they were at. These are the statues of the Little Rock 9 that are on the grounds of the Arkansas State Capitol building. And so this is where the group decided to march to and post themselves at. They then eventually got back in their U-Haul truck where they had about 20 people sitting in the back of the U-Haul truck. And, the police followed them out of town, down 440, where they then were pulled over and then forced to get off at the Springer Boulevard exit, where they were allegedly cited and told that they couldn't be driving around with people loose in the back of the U-Haul like that, and were told that they needed to secure other means of transportation.
So apparently where they were at in Arkansas, in Little Rock, they needed a permit, but they didn't apply for the permit, probably because they knew the counter-protest would have been crazy, or they would have been not denied because the Christmas parade was going on. Or maybe they thought they could get away with it because all the shit that was going on with the Christmas parade at the time. Right? They thought, oh, there'll be tons of people there marching. We can go and do this. But they did not have a permit for this. And they're required to in that city or state, which I don't personally agree with. But you'll see a lot of times they'll go places specifically where they don't need a permit so they don't have a counter-protest.
And then allegedly, that happened. Although the videos I've seen, they were allowed to get back in the truck. Now, at least 2 people have been identified, one of which was a driver who was actually from Indiana originally. This guy is originally from New Hampshire, from what I understand. So I don't know if it makes me feel better or worse.
Now, this guy is former military. He's, I've looked him up before. He was a Marine, and he started all this, the blood tribe shit.
That they are outsiders. They are not from here within the community, but it does definitely stress me out and fill me with a lot of grief that they showed up today and are marching through a predominantly Black part of town, and specifically chose to set their sights on this history of the Little Rock 9 and the integration crisis. Jesus, I could not stop yawning tonight. So yeah, y'all just be careful out there, and this is 2025. So this afternoon,
and then of course they went to a black neighborhood, a predominantly black neighborhood.
Detaining them, they let them go.
Again, I can't really blame if they didn't commit a crime, like they didn't have a permit, then they got to disperse, right? And then they still coordinated a stop and kicked him out of the truck. I think they did the best they probably could.
Laughing, shooting the shit, and now they're letting them go. Yeah.
They've got to treat them just like any other citizen, even if they hate their fucking guts, right? They've got to treat them like any other citizen. Like, hey, it sucks. You can't ride in that if you get... It may have even had something to do. They might have been fine. Some states, I don't know about Arkansas. Some states you can ride like this or in the back of a pickup truck. That's all fine until you get on the interstate. And that might be why they pulled them over on 440.
You get run over, and I'm out here. It's my fault.
How come they weren't arrested?
If you want to you would go back over there. That way I know you're not going to get run over, okay? Because if I leave here and you get run over...
Well, will you talk to me over there?
I don't want to talk to you, but yeah, go over there.
Okay, my question is, why did they didn't get arrested?
Well, I'm here and I can save this stuff traffic. Why don't you go across safely?
Why weren't they arrested?
Because if I leave, you get run over.
That's fine.
Okay,
22 individuals was in a U-Haul.
Oh, it says they even towed the U-Haul. They ended up towing the U-Haul.
And they let them go. Walk around the streets of Little Rock, Arkansas. How is this becoming the regular, normal thing to do?
Detaining them, they let them go.
It just fills me with this great sense of pride, just being able to represent my people and people like me who maybe didn't get.
The first Blood Tribe member to compete at the Olympics, Apollo Hess, is the first member of the Blood Tribe in Southern... Oh, this is something different. Never mind. Okay. This is like with Native American tribe. Okay.
The cult in northern Maine. Penobscot County hosted a cult known as Blood Tribe. They were a paramilitary group that up until recently operated in Penobscot County. They believed that they were going to have to overthrow the government, and they also believed that Adolf Hitler was the
Did you
incarnation
check the Google Trends, though?
of a god.
You don't know.
A cult in northern Maine. Penobscot County hosted a cult known as Blood.
They showed up and showed out. Blood Tribe wasn't this deep. The Haitian hate is crazy. The city's in chaos. There's no proof. We are getting bomb threats like crazy. They have evacuated schools, grocery stores, and DMV's not going to... Oh, this is after Trump with the... They're eating the dogs and cats, isn't it? Yeah.
Scooby, where you going?
First comment says, it's not hate for Haiti. It's love for America. Very first comment. This is back from 2024, by the way. They're chanting popular military cadence. Was that home when you left? Your brother was home when you left. Your mother was home when you left.
Hey, what's going on, man? So I read this fucking garbage, and the first thing that comes to my mind is the State Farm commercial. Well, yeah, he was right. So I worry about people like you. You know what I mean? Like, I truly do, because like either.
Well, yeah, he was right. For example, we have to go back 4 days. Donnie pushes a neo-Nazi Blood Tribe conspiracy about immigrants stealing. That was true. The Blood Tribe are the ones that showed up at their, a member of the Blood Tribe is the ones that showed up at their city council meeting and claimed this. Claimed that they were eating people's pets. And what was the city council going to do about it? As a proud Aryan or whatever, he went off. And this guy's like, oh, yeah, but he was right. When was he right?
First thing that comes to my mind is the State Farm commercial. Well, yeah, he was right. So I worry about people like you. You know what I mean? Like, I truly do, because like either your gut instincts don't work, your ability to pay attention to everything going on around you doesn't work. Countless videos that you must be seeing aren't working. And we're not just like talking about videos made by like 10-year-olds. I've seen videos about this from people in the community, in their.
I've seen videos about this. They all saw that same fucking YouTube video we all saw, where people were just claiming, my mom's sister's cousin's beautician saw him.
60s, in their 50s, in their 40s, in their 20s. The idea that people like you will continually turn a blind eye to all of that because the news, because the media, in my opinion, because the media told you that he was lying. Yet your fucking neighbors are telling you that he's not. You're the people we can't trust, and I hope more people understand that. Thank you.
This is someone that lives in the community saying it's not happening. There's like, well, yeah, it is. The clans will unite.
In a way, it's a swan song. Meaning, this the last little thing that the people, this conservative whatever brain rot is making. It's their last little hoorah, and after it, so get set up. And ultimately, if you're a white man, you need to be in some form of hierarchy of white men. You have to be. And I know it's kind of intimidating.
Oh shit, our resident crackhead was live. I didn't even know that. At 10:30.
Tick-tock.
Oh, nope.
Is that better?
What is happening? Hey, that was creepy, bro. I'm you married me.
I was screaming on my
People say you shouldn't leave a party like to be like the last person. I was the
That's
last
another
person.
thing. So okay, let's talk about this. This is fun. All right. So I don't think does anybody really realize like y'all do realize there's like no drama over here on my side. Y'all do realize that I've been ignoring these motherfuckers for like a long time.
No drama.
They can't stop. They're addicted.
You're all drama, aren't you?
They're obsessed, bro.
Oh man, you know what I missed?
I'm a regular guy.
I missed the Capitol debate.
Y'all, come on. Quit playing. It's fucking
Fuck. With Destiny and D'Souza.
guys ain't supposed to act like that. What the fuck?
Let's watch some of it. We can't watch it all, but let's watch some of it. Fuck Ryan Up Church. Destiny is debating at the Capitol, anti-Trump versus pro-Trump with Dinesh D'Souza. And I bet you it's really fucking good. Damn it.
Wasn't that a lie?
What is not
Wasn't
a lie?
that a lie though? When he held up the sign, didn't he lie to the American public, to you and me and everybody else in here in the entire world when he said these are the tariffs that every other country has on us? That was a lie, right?
Well, it was a negotiation.
Yes.
Tactic.
So it was a lie to negotiate?
It's a negotiating tactic, and you actually know it
I
because
do
you
know
just
it.
admitted it.
I didn't
but
admit it.
earlier you were trying to con the audience.
I was giving a simplified answer to somebody who found out they just found out what Braxton Reserve Bacon was.
Please welcome to the stage Dinesh D'Souza and Destiny.
How you doing tonight?
I'm good.
So I think we were given pretty broad leeway over, I guess, what to chat about tonight, insofar as kind of like Trump and MAGA and the current state of the U.S. and kind of like where we've come, where we're going in relation to that. Do you have any strong thoughts you want to start us off with, or do you want me to just get right into it?
Well, let's get into it.
Okay, so I don't know how much you know about me, but I've been kind of like a YouTube political commentator, influencer guy for maybe about 10 years. I followed with great detail a lot of the political, factual, legal, whatever stuff going on with both sides, especially over the past 5 or 6 years. And one of the most kind of troubling things that I've seen develop is we are totally and completely separated in terms of factual reality, in terms of where like the left is living and where MAGA is living. And I mean, my argument is that I would say the conservatives and MAGA, and even people in positions like yours, have contributed really heavily towards that like deliberate muddying of the record, so that people aren't aware of what's actually happening in this country. And I guess like the first event, I guess the thing I kind of like to center on is I'm curious what your understanding is of like the Mar-a-Lago documents case for the classified information that Trump took from the White House and refused to return.
Oh yeah, and a lot of groups are not even afraid to say that. I always bring up that Myron Gaines when he was in that neo-Nazi group, talking about the Jews, and they're like, "Well, we appreciate it, but like after this, you're next, bro."
I'm happy to get into it, but before we do, if I can explore the idea you just mentioned a moment ago about alternative realities. I assume what you're saying is that the left lives in a certain type of a bubble, but it's a reality-based bubble. The right lives in a bubble that is fake and not reality-based. And so, according to you, one half of the country is essentially deluded, and the other half of the country is sane. See, I think this is a very poor way to try to conceptualize politics in general. It's
Didn't he just say that though? Hold on, what did he say? The bubble
is and not reality based. And
so you live in a not reality based bubble, but according to you, he turns it back to Destiny and says half the country's sane and half the country's not. What do you think you're saying when you say that all the left live in a not reality based bubble?
And so, according to you, one half of the country is essentially deluded, and the other half of the country is sane. See, I think this is a very poor way to try to conceptualize politics in general. It's the reason it's a poor way is that if you look at any political divide, particularly the really severe political divides, if we go back, for example, to 1860, you could take the view that, which was the view of the South, Lincoln was a moron, Lincoln's a dictator, Lincoln's an idiot, and the Republicans in the North make no sense at all. Or you could take the opposite view, that everyone in the South is a moron, they're living in a bubble, they don't understand reality, and therefore one side is completely right and the other side is completely wrong. To me, the reason this is a very poor way to comprehend reality is that it requires you ultimately to believe that virtually one half of the entire country lives in delusion. Democracy would make no sense if this were truly the case. In reality, the complex thing to do, particularly when there is a divide, and I think this is what we have to work toward, and it'd be really interesting if we did that in this debate, is if I can advance a theory about Trump that explains not just the 75 million people or so who voted for him, but also the 71 million or so who voted against him. And if I can account for both, and similarly, I would demand of you the same thing. You advance a theory that is a little more sophisticated than simply saying everybody who votes for Trump is a dummy, or they're listening to other dummies and swallowing their dumb stuff. This does not do justice to our fellow citizens.
Or they thought he could fix the economy. I think the biggest pressure point was the thing, and he did a good job blaming Biden, even though most of it had to do with COVID. We recovered faster than the rest of the world. Inflation was already at 3% when he took office. But I think he convinced a lot of the people in the middle that he would be the one to fix the economy.
I'm just objecting to this framing of reality. We can discuss specific aspects of reality, and I'm happy to start where you want, and then I'll take you where I want to go. But I'd like you to comment, first of all, if you agree with me that each of us needs to advance tonight a theory that is good enough, not just to feed the prejudices of the people on our own side, which may be the majority of the audience here, but genuinely accounts for the other side.
So I would agree, but I would disagree that a genuine accounting for both sides requires you to admit, or it requires you to concede that both sides have a similar factual foundation. Sometimes when you go to the hospital, sometimes you get diagnosed with a really bad disease, sometimes the prognosis is it's untreatable. I would be uncomfortable if the doctor told me, well, we're looking at two different diagnoses, but this one's really bad, so we're just going to favor the other one instead. Unfortunately, that's not how the real world works. It might be that at times in our history, there are certain sides of our country that are deluded. Now, you use the word dummy. I would say they're not stupid. I think that the capacity for even an ordinary person that, a pretentious liberal or some online guy might say, oh, this guy's an idiot, they're not stupid. Like, people have a tremendous capacity for a ton of information. But I would argue that there has been an entire conservative media apparatus that has been aimed at engaging in the delusion of these people for the purposes of trying to make the unappealing appealing or the indefensible defensible. And that's the thing that I'm kind of attacking. Like, is half the country deluded? I would say right now, to a large extent, yes, but that's not because they're stupid, and it's not by accident, it's by design. And I think part of what I really like to dig into is part of it is not even being able to agree fundamentally on like things that are factual.
That was good. Right, it's not by accident. It's not because they're dumb. It's by design.
True. You brought up that north-south divide. The difference that you were talking about there was one of legal perspective, was a conceptual perspective difference on do states have the right to secede from the union? You know, how much right does an individual state have with the federal government? That same debate taking place today, you know, it would be somebody saying in the south, oh, we don't even have slaves. All the people here live equally, and you know, people in the north saying, you know, in the south they literally torture these people and throw them over for fun and they don't even use them for work. Right. That's the level of assuming both sides are being deluded. Right. That's the level of delusion that we're on today. We don't have disagreements in law or disagreements in concept or idea or narrative about the country. It's like very foundational disagreements on things that we shouldn't have that much of a factual disagreement on.
Well, so I take it that what you're saying is that in the Civil War, there were genuinely intelligent people on both sides, and they actually disagreed about what kind of America they wanted. They disagreed about their economic interests, they disagreed on constitutional interpretation, they disagreed about whether they wanted to retain the status quo or go into a new type of America. Now, I would argue that we're having very much that exact same kind of fundamental debate right now. Let's just take, for example, the phrase, make America great again. Bit of a cliche, right? But I would say that the implicit in that is a big idea. That there was an America that we lived in. You could say it's the America of the 50s, the America of 1965, the America of 1980. You can kind of pick your own preferred date. But the things worked better in this country before, in the past. We have messed up. We have become more polarized, more hateful, more violent. Our goals have begun to pull further apart. I would argue that in the Reagan years, for example, the debates were not so much about goals, but about means. We all agreed that America, if you were to take a poll in 1980 or the early 80s and ask Americans, do you think America should be strong, prosperous? Do you think we should have law and order? Do you think America should be an example to the world? Do you think that most people, given the chance, would want to come here? You got yes, 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 and yes. Now, you might disagree. If we create a prosperous pie, how should that pie be shared? The argument was about that. But on the need for prosperity, on the principles of the founding, no disagreement about goals. Now, we are in America where we can't agree about goals. And I would say that one half of the country, my half, Trump's half, we think that there's a better America we want to go back to. You don't. You want to take us into some progressive utopia. So right there, this is hardly a disagreement about facts. I mean, I guess it could be a disagreement about facts if you want to argue the facts of what life was like in 1980 or what the GDP was. I'm happy to discuss that. But I guess what I'm really saying is it is a conflict of visions. We want a society in which immigrants come to assimilate. We want a society in which affirming your identity takes a subordinate role to our identity as Americans. We want a society in which free markets are the engine to prosperity. We want a society in which we recognize that the world is made up of very dangerous people, and sometimes you have to smash in a few heads in order to protect your own interests. We want to live in a society where there's a rule of law, and if you come here illegally, there's every right to send you home. There's no such thing as a good lawbreaker or a bad lawbreaker any more than there's such a thing as good discrimination and bad discrimination. So these, I've just articulated several, and I could keep going, principles. This has nothing to do with whether Trump had a bag of documents in Mar-a-Lago. It is a conflict of visions, and it seems to me that you are denying that. Either that or you disagree right now that all the principles I've articulated are yours as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say exactly that. The issue that I have with the more abstract, high-level conceptual conversations is that everybody agrees with these things. That people should, yeah, of course, people should be here relatively, legally as far as you can be. People should be here
as far as you can be. This is kind of like saying I favor law breaking. I don't favor law breaking unless it's.
Sure, I say as far as you can be because some immigration stuff is hazy. So, for instance, sometimes conservatives seem like they're okay with asylum seekers, like they suddenly are with South Africans who are white. Other times they seem like they don't believe in asylum seeking at all. So I'm cutting out a little bit of on the edge here for presidential things like TPS, temporary protected status, things like DACA. For the most part, broadly speaking, I largely agree that everybody should be here in as legal process as possible. I think that people should, as far as they can, try not to break any laws. People get speeding tickets, obviously you shouldn't be shot for this. But broadly speaking, everything you say, everybody agrees with. But the issue is that when we have these high-level conceptual disagreements, say for instance, we should have a president who doesn't commit crimes, and then we have a president who has clearly committed crimes, and one side sees that very plainly, and the other side screams lawfare. That's not true. There is a factual distinction there. That's not a difference of ideology or a difference of vision. It's a difference of understanding factually of what's in the record. And the unfortunate thing is we're not talking about complicated physics or chemistry or biology. It's very simple facts. If you can read a simple indictment, you can see how things are laid out. And it should be a thing that 95% of the population can grasp and understand. Like, for instance, that Donald Trump took documents from the White House that he didn't have authorization to keep. He showed them to multiple people at Mar-a-Lago. He refused to cooperate first with the National Archives and Records Administration and then with the FBI. And then eventually his home was raided. Some documents were never recovered. The whole time he was in the complete and total wrong in multiple levels. But the right refused to acknowledge this, screamed lawfare over and over again. And then we push them on things like, don't you think it's good to have like a rule of law? They appeal to these high-level concepts like, well, freedom and the past was good and all this. It's like, well, we can't talk about any particular instances of anything happening. It's a pointless conversation.
Well, I find that this habit is hardly confined to the right. I'm something of an expert on the 2020 election, and I've given talks about it. And every time I talk about it, someone goes, well, there clearly is nothing wrong in the 2020 election because there were 50 cases where these things were adjudicated. Now, there's not a single case in which the actual allegations of fraud were adjudicated. On all kinds of procedural obstacles or issues of standing, these cases were dismissed. You should have brought the case before the election. You had to do that. Obviously, the fraud was not obvious then. If you brought it after the election, it's moot. Or this is brought at the state level. It needs to be at the federal level. And so the procedural adjudication is considered adequate to establish the veracity or the validity of the 2020 election.
Just a quick thing.
I'll just finish my point. You can
do the 2020 election. So you can see on the whole Mar-a-Lago thing that Trump was retaining documents that we can move to the 2020 election.
We haven't addressed Mar-a-Lago. I'm setting up the intellectual groundwork by saying that on the 2020 election, statements are made that are accepted as gospel by the left. Let's take a simple one that was repeated ad nauseum. The 2020 election was the safest, most secure election in U.S. history. To which I ask, where is the evidence that there was less fraud in 2020 than in 2016, 2012?
Where's the evidence of an absence of something happening, right? Show me that there was no hack and the proof of that, right? The government agencies that Trump empowered to studied this and came out and said, no, there was no interference.
2008, 2004. Where is that demonstration? Who has actually done a comparative evaluation of the amount of fraud in recent, forget about old elections, and shown that there was less in 2020? The answer is, not only has this never been demonstrated, it has never been attempted. And so an utterly idiotic statement, almost preposterous on its face. We know that this election we just had, and we're proclaiming it to be the same.
By the way, 2,000 Mules, they had to retract, right? They can't even broadcast it anymore. They were sued.
ever with zero empirical evidence produced to support that. And yet, the entire left, to my knowledge, without exception, went along, nodded its head, accepted this as true, became very scornful of any attempts to show the contrary. So doesn't this show factual dogmatism on the left that is just as corrosive as anything on the right?
No, so I mean, we can go through any of these statements. I'm still putting a pin in the Mar-a-Lago things that it's important to go back to, but I'm very familiar with the 2020 election.
Okay.
I think the issue is that, one, when people say, well, it wasn't adjudicated on the facts, it was tossed on standing or procedural grounds, that's bad for the person bringing the case. If you're losing on standing, then you must have never had a serious case to begin with, because that is literally the easiest part of a case to survive. To build a prima facie case saying that I have authorization to bring this case in front of this court has subject matter jurisdiction, and it's the appropriate venue to hear the case, and here are my complaints where I'm alleging that a law was broken. In half of these, they didn't even have the remedies that they were looking for, was to toss the entire outcome of that election, which is an insane remedy. If you're looking for that, the court's not even going to bother to hear the case, because the whole point of a court hearing a case is that they're going to grant you some kind of relief. If the court can't do anything about it, then the court's not going to listen to it. Number one. Number two, for the evidence that was made public, we know that for a lot of this, it was a blatant lie. So for instance, when we watch Trump's lawyers show, and we watch Trump talk about the hidden boxes in that in the State Farm arena that were pulled out from under the table and put back, and we don't know where they came from. We do know where they came from. And you can tell because if you watch the full 6-hour video where she's giving a presentation to the state election board or state legislature or whatever, you can see her fast forward 10 minutes where they were counting, they finished counting for the night, they take the boxes, put them on the floor, slide them under, 10 minutes later they get a call saying, actually, we're going to resume counting because we want to get these results out faster. They take the same boxes out, they put them on the table. Not only was that a complete total bold-faced lie when it was first presented in court or presented to the public, it was a lie that Trump repeated up to and including his speech on January 6th, where he encouraged his followers to go and riot at the Capitol to try to delay the outcome of the election. So every single case has been some variation of them not knowing if the law was broken. You can listen to hours and hours of deposition, you can read the subpoenas, you can read the judge's decisions. There's a reason why you guys will say, well, all of them were thrown out, and it was adjudicated on the merits. Trump, was president for 4 years. He had Barr look into all of these claims. Barr said that all of them were BS. Trump is president now. He has the ability to go back and look at stuff. Nothing has been dug up. In fact, the first time Trump was president, when he also made claims that the election was rigged, he put together an election board to look at if there was any impropriety or fraud that happened in any of the states, and they found nothing. They disbanded it in like a year. For the final point, you bring this point up that well, it's crazy that they said this was the safest election ever because there hasn't been a comparative analysis on fraud. I think the point of the statement was to say that there were more people, more cameras, more systems that were looking at this election than in any prior election. And I would argue that just like how Doge went through the entire government and massively failed at discovering any waste, fraud, or abuse, Donald Trump and all of his cronies have been looking at so much election-related stuff, and the only fraud, weird stuff we've seen has come from the Republican side.
If he had it, if he said, here's the proof, it would already be out there. They've researched it, can't find anything but him talking. Trump claiming it.
Here's being a great example of that. Trump trying to steal the election with his false elector sites being another great example of that.
All right, so let me offer a couple thoughts. Number one.
Smoked. He's going to smoke this dude.
If you're right that a bungled legal effort failed on account of the incompetence of the people.
Trump could have the best fucking lawyers in the world. He was president at the time, dude. Oh, it was a bungled legal effort. They couldn't even meet standing. They couldn't even prove we have the ability to bring this case for this reason in this jurisdiction.
Who tried to prove fraud, I would argue by the same token that the Democratic goofballs who launched 90-plus charges against Trump in multiple jurisdictions were equally dumb because they made claims that they were unable to sustain. The cases were thrown out, made moot, exposed to the public.
None of them on standing.
For their prima facie idiocy, or they were, they capsized with their own weight. They were withdrawn. Fannie Willis was basically had her own problems and had to withdraw. The successors basically decided that's the end of that. So what I'm getting at is either we rely on the legal process as a pretty fair adjudicator of these kinds of claims, in which case you got to grant that the case against Trump ended up, think of it, you didn't have one shot. You had like 7 shots at this guy. You failed in all of them. Even in the one place where you quote got him on the ultimate bogus case.
But this is literally, we're talking about the election. You're like, well, what about the charges they brought against Trump? It's a red herring. That's it. That's as bad as it can get.
Case, which was in New York, the judge himself was too timid to impose a verdict and basically says, Mr. Trump, you can go, I wish you well. Even the judge knew that he was part of a political game and he had to fess up. Because if he was really enforcing the law, think of it, if you or I were found guilty of 34 felonies, the judge would have said, I'm imposing a sentence. My sentence might be overturned or maybe held to be invalid, but this man has broken the law 34 times. In fact, think of the stupidity. This was 34 different checks, so apparently it's 34 different felonies. The lawfare of it couldn't be more obvious or blatant. Now,
why did the jury convict him? Why did the jury convict him if it was just lawfare?
Because a jury in New York, like a jury in D.C., is going to be... Well, all right.
Aren't you saying then that half the country is living in delusion if you can't even trust a jury of every single person? A single person could say, I don't agree with the verdict here?
Do you think the OJ jury got it right?
The OJ, that's a totally different case.
Well, if you trust the jury, then they got it right.
I can say that juries might... I can disagree with juries sometimes. You just said that there are 2 sections of the United States in New York and D.C., and I'm willing to bet you the other states where there is no jury that could hear. Oh, I'm curious. Actually, fine. There are things in the OJ case that I think it seems like he was clearly guilty of something. What law in New York State that he was convicted of breaking, that he was given 34 felony counts for, do you think he didn't actually break? Did he not lie when he paid his lawyer Cohen a fee that was actually just a money transfer to Stormy Daniels and then committed bookkeeping fraud in the furtherance of that lie, which is why the misdemeanor was upgraded to a felony? Do you think that's not true?
One of the problems with living in this kind of society today, and one of the essential...
Is that not true? Yes or no? One of the problems with living in modern society is that...
Defining elements of lawfare is simply to ask this question. If anybody else did that, or if Trump himself did it, but was not running for president, would these charges have been brought? And again, we're all watching this. We're not on the jury. We're watching this as spectators from the outside. We've got to use a certain rule of common sense. You got this guy Trump. He's in the thick of New York real estate. He's in the thick of all these claims of bombastic claims like my Mar-a-Lago's worth X, this is worth Y, my assets are worth this. Everybody does this. Now, if all of this was so fraudulent, how does the man go 75 years of his life without a single charge? Then, interestingly, he enters politics as a Republican. 93 charges are dropped on his head. Now, if you genuinely think, and look, we could very well in this audience be exploring the...
Wouldn't that be the time that more people looked into him?
Illusions we're talking about. If you genuinely are a smart guy...
They're saying that the judge knew it was all bullshit, and that's why he didn't sentence him to jail.
No, I think that's right. The guy was squeaky clean for 75 years. Then he became a habitual criminal and committed 93 offenses.
Whataboutism?
Jail for life. A guy who just happens to have been the president of the United States and on the verge of being reelected a second time. But you don't have to worry about that if you can put him away. And this doesn't raise any issues of political targeting, Stalinism, find me the man and I'll find you the crime. If you genuinely don't think any of that is an issue, then we are at a little bit of an intellectual breakdown here.
So this isn't an intellectual breakdown. This is a bad conversation about politics with your family at Thanksgiving. There has to be a better factual analysis than, isn't it weird? Isn't it weird that so the 34 felonies that he was charged with and convicted.
Yes. Let's factually look at this. Isn't it weird that...
Take either of those. For the Mar-a-Lago documents case, this is the thing, he couldn't possibly been charged with a crime like this before having a security clearance or being in a job with security clearance because he wouldn't have had access to these documents. So for the Mar-a-Lago case, he took classified material from the White House, stored it in an area where classified material is now to be kept. Yep. He showed other people some of that classified material, and then he resisted efforts from NARA and the FBI to retrieve said material, and he was directing his employees to hide it and lie to the FBI when they were requesting information about this material. This is incredibly...
Yes. And move it around, hide it, put it on a plane with him, fly with it. When his lawyer was saying the FBI's coming today, make sure all that material's there so they can just take it and leave. And he instructs his driver to go start moving it around, hiding it, put 6 boxes in his bedroom.
That is true, and all the rest of it is true.
Which part of it was not true?
The first part of it, that he took the documents, is true. The second question is, how does a president who takes his own documents, which he has the plenary power to declassify, how does he prima facie violate the law, especially when you consider that pretty much every other president, going back to Nixon, had documents. Mike had documents. Biden had documents in his garage, including a bunch sitting in his car. These documents were fully exposed. There were documents at the Penn Biden Center, accessible to everyone, and yet the guy who looks into it goes, I don't think we should charge this guy because he's kind of forgetful, and he won't really withstand trial because he tends not to remember things.
Whataboutism?
When does somebody get a pass from a serious offense because they don't have a very good memory of the stuff that they manifestly did? So when you suddenly develop this kind of selective aggression, Trump has done all these things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you conveniently forget that presidents have routinely taken their own stuff. Then again, I have to say that this looks to me quite clearly a case of isolating Trump. I mean, the way we know...
Well, here, real quick, just on this, because you laid out some facts, and the facts...
You say he obstructed...
Well, real quick, so you say these words, prima facie. Prima facie means, has the person who is under the jurisdiction of some place, has he met the prerequisite elements to have committed the crime? So the crime of retention of classified materials requires intent. So one funny thing that conservatives like to do is they like to say that, well, Herr said that Biden was forgetful and he wouldn't be able to stand trial because he was forgetful. That's not true. What Herr was speaking to when he was speaking of Biden's state of mind was that he probably forgot that he had these documents here or that he was storing these things. The crime that speaks, the federal statutes that talk about the retention of classified material that makes it a crime is
intent.
Knowing that you actually have them. That's why when Biden NARA contacted the FBI and said, hey, we have classified documents here, we think you guys should come and grab them. They weren't convicted or charged with any crimes because it seems like they weren't trying to intentionally store classified material. As opposed to Trump, who was showing documents to people, and you say, well, they were his, right? Why did he say twice, I could have unclassified these?
If Biden would have been around saying, ha ha ha, I got these classified documents and nobody knows about it. You want to see them? You want to see them? That's different than, hey, I found some documents. You should probably pick these up. We didn't know we had them.
I could have declassified these, but I didn't. And also the second big thing, the president does not have plenary authority for declassification of everything, especially when it comes to the Department of Energy, which has nuclear secrets, especially when you're talking about TSSCI, SAP, separate access programs, special access programs that are part of our nuclear secrets that Donald Trump was keeping at Mar-a-Lago. So even that he couldn't declassify on his own.
Here's the problem. I mean...
Not on his own. He could have made motions to declassify it, and it would have been the Department of Energy, and other people would have already seen that in Congress as well, but he couldn't have declassified it on his own.
Had this case proceeded all the way, and these elements of the crime that you're describing been proven, we could then debate what was going on. I'll give you the Trump side of it. I took these documents. I was contacted by the National Archives, NARA, I guess it's called, about the fact you need to give some of these documents back. What does some mean here? Trump is like, some of them may be mine, some of them I may have to return. And so a process now begins of bargaining back and forth. At one point, the FBI comes to Mar-a-Lago.
There was no bargain. He refused to return any of them.
Mar-a-Lago is a protected facility. Comes to Mar-a-Lago and puts a padlock on the storage facility where the documents are held. So what are we dealing with here? We're dealing with a president who finishes his term. People come into the White House, clear all the stuff out. Where are they going to move it? They move it, not surprisingly, to the residence, Mar-a-Lago. And then begins this process of negotiating over these documents. If you're saying, based upon the fact that you think that laws were broken, I would say, what, because Destiny thinks that the president broke the law, we should lock him up? No. If you can show me a legal process where these elements of the crime were proven.
No, your argument was that he was only charged because he was 75 years squeaky clean, then he wanted to run for president. Destiny's argument was, no, that it seems like these charges are valid.
Look at it.
Well, that's what an indictment is. It's showing these are the laws that we're saying that he broke. This is the evidence we're presenting to the grand jury. Okay, well, then you know that the grand jury returned an okay to charge Donald Trump with these crimes. Also, you said that Mar-a-Lago was not secured for the sort of classified information. And if Donald Trump truly had nothing to hide and he was cooperating, returning things as he should, why was he having his employee hide boxes from his own lawyers so that they would not be fully truthful, not of their own fault? But
yes, his own lawyer testified that I told him to have these boxes ready for when you guys come to review them. He moved them all out and then moved them all back in, and 6 boxes were missing. He instructed his driver to load them on his plane so he could fly to New Jersey with them. Sounds like cooperation, doesn't it?
Because they had no idea when they were communicating with the FBI about documents that Trump was retaining, and that he was having brought to his room, going over, taking some back, keeping others, and then telling his employee to lie to the lawyers about what they were hiding.
Whenever you have an indictment, the prosecution, in this case it was the Biden administration.
It was Jack Smith, who was a special prosecutor.
Okay, Jack Smith was a special prosecutor appointed by the Biden regime.
It wasn't appointed by Biden, it was appointed by Merrick Garland.
It was appointed by Merrick Garland, not by the Biden regime.
Trump directly control his attorney general, but most presidents don't do that.
You're about to get there, right? You just missed about 15 steps or whatever.
Merrick Garland was an objective, fair-minded. He was not making any kind of political...
Why wasn't the special prosecutor appointed?
You're actually trying to get me to enter into your dream world here.
I'm only talking facts.
There are no facts. There were facts. No, because an indictment...
It is a fact that Merrick Garland appointed this special prosecutor to look into that is a fact.
Unless the indictment is presented.
You want it. Joe Biden said that Trump has to go to jail.
In court, the other side gets to fight back. It's like if I were to take any indictment and read it, and then I think, oh, the guy obviously did it because he did this, he bought a gun, and this and that. I haven't read the counterpoints. I haven't seen the cross-examination. It hasn't gone to court. But if you accept all the claims in the indictment as, quote, factually true, and consider that there's no other side of the matter, then it's easy to go, I got the facts.
So then wouldn't it be easy for you to just say, if everything in the indictment is true, Donald Trump would be guilty of those crimes, rather than trying to make excuses for what was in the indictment? Because there's another weird game that I notice conservatives play, where conservatives will do this thing where they'll defend the thing, and then after they defended the thing, they'll say that the thing that they were defending is indefensible, but if it did happen, they give justifications for it anyway.
Just say, I read the indictment, and if the indictment's true, then Donald Trump's guilty. Exactly. I read the indictment. If the indictment's true, then Donald Trump is guilty of this. But there may be a really good defense to this. No, the indictment's wrong. Biden did it. Merrick Garland, they're all out against it. Squeaky clean for 75 years.
Anyway, why not just say, well, I don't believe what's in the indictment, even though you say that they're just allegations. They're not. You have to show evidence to a grand jury to secure the indictment. So
exactly. Look, the indictment contains elements of factuality and elements of subjectivity. So the factuality would be something like this. Did you take a document? Did you put it in the garage? Was it found in your Corvette? The elements of subjectivity are things like this. Were you authorized to take it? Even if you were not authorized to take it, did you follow the procedures to return it? If you didn't follow those procedures, how culpable are you, let's say, for not doing that? Because there are all kinds of people who break all kinds of laws, and they're given a pass because, as you mentioned with Biden, you said that his forgetfulness had to do with the documents. Wrong. It was very clear from the special counsel's report that his forgetfulness had to do with trial. We cannot take this guy to trial. He deserves to go to trial. He did break the law, but we don't think that he can withstand trial.
He cannot go to trial because we can't prove intent. There's no sense in bringing it to trial. You can't prove that he intended to do this, right? A jury would see him as an older guy who said he didn't know he had them, which is exactly what he's claiming.
Because basically his brain is fried. And so, hold on,
like that, yeah.
Is that a fact or not? No, that's not a fact.
No, the forgetfulness had to do with the crime. The elements of the crime is the willful retention of classified material. If you walk out of a skip and you have something on you by accident, you might get fired. Depending on your job, you'll definitely get fired. But to charge with a crime, you need intent. Now, for every single element that you described there, well, you have to take them and you have to know that you didn't follow the right procedure. An example for showing that subjective argument might be Donald Trump showing something to somebody saying, I should have declassified this, but I didn't. Don't look too closely. That would be an example of like a subjective thing where, sounds like he maybe didn't have the authority to do that. Also,
which is what he did to an author of a book. I should have declassified this when I was in, but don't look too closely. This is still secret. I'll show it to you anyways.
Classified stuff he had in the Department of Energy, he could have never on his own declassified, and he didn't go through any proper procedures there. And I think one of the most telling things is subjective evaluation. One of the most telling things is that Donald Trump never denied the behavior. He never said he didn't do a thing. Instead, all the conservatives started to switch to psychic declassification as the reason why Trump could actually take anything he wanted out of the White House.
No, look, you have the staccato style of mixing elements of truth with elements of pure garbage.
Wait, what was the one thing I just said that was pure garbage?
I'll tell you. So Biden started taking classified documents when he was in the Senate. Okay, no one even thinks that Biden was non-compos mentis then. So according to you, the special prosecutor didn't bring charges not because Biden is gone now, but because he was gone before. And I'm saying, was he gone in the 80s? Was Biden mentally gone in the 90s when he took those documents? Why not prosecute him for those? But
he didn't have intents, right? It was just some classified documents in a box of other documents they didn't realize they were there. Trump brags about his intent.
Quite clearly, the special counsel was not talking about Biden's mind in 1995. He was talking about Biden's mind today.
No, it doesn't have to do about being forgetful.
You were misstating why Biden went off the hook, pretending that it was an objective, fair-minded decision by a neutral guy, and I'm saying no. Now we turn to Trump.
Wait, for her, I'm just curious. Walk me through this. Why would you have a special prosecutor and then authorize him to release a report that's damning to Biden and report all of this stuff publicly if it was all politically partisan in the first place? Why not just lie about everything from the start? If they control the DOJ, the special prosecutor, and the FBI, why even report publicly that Biden had turned in documents?
Well,
just say that, he's the best guy ever and nothing was wrong ever.
The scandal of Biden's documents became extremely embarrassing to the Mar-a-Lago case. And so there was an immediate need. Okay, we now have to cover for our...
But we didn't have to put any of that out. None of it. We didn't have to put none of that out.
Like the other guy's the only guy who did something wrong.
No, why
okay, let me give you my theory and then you tell me why it's wrong. So what does the DOJ do? They pick a guy in Delaware.
You already jumped the argument. You already jumped the whole argument. Why put it out at all? Why was there even an announcement about Biden had documents at all? Biden told on himself. If it's all partisan and all bullshit, why did anybody ever learn that Biden had documents? at all, ever.
A Republican, but nevertheless, he's under the thumb of the Biden DOJ. He's reporting to them. He has to ultimately survive their scrutiny. Merrick Garland is still in charge. And so this guy conveniently comes out, Biden, he did some bad things, but you know what? He's a little forgetful. We can't really go ahead anyway. What you do is you get an official imprimatur. Biden's off the hook. All right, let's now proceed to get the guy we always set out to get, namely Trump. And what I'm saying is, you're supposed to be like a sophisticated political guy, but you can't see that there is a clear effort here. How do we clean up the crimes of our guy? Because we want to stick the classified document offense only on the other guy, even though our guy did the same thing and arguably worse, certainly for a much longer period of time and much more carelessly, because the documents are sitting not only in his damn garage, but they're sitting at the Penn Biden Center where anybody can wander in and have a look at them. And not only that, if you look at all the reports that Hunter Biden made to Burisma, I'm talking about
before we go to Burisma, so just to be clear, so I can understand. We start with Burisma. You're saying
you're going to a new point.
Orchestrated January 6th that worked as a deep state check on Trump's power, even when Trump was in office and was capable of doing all of these grand things. As Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who was totally under the thumb of President Biden, despite the fact that he dragged his feet on all the prosecutions of Trump and waited way too long to appoint Jack Smith, is one of the number one center complaints of every center-left Democrat. You're saying that that same institution's FBI was making it publicly known that they had found documents at Biden's house. Why, if they could suppress, if Merrick Garland could control a special prosecutor, which I don't know if you're aware, but the whole point of having a special prosecutor is he's not directly under the thumb of the Attorney General. Otherwise, we would just call that a DOJ prosecutor, right? You're telling me they had so much power to cover this up that they were influencing this 300-page report that her puts out. There's a lot of damning testimony, a lot of stuff that makes Biden look bad, but they couldn't just cover up the initial FBI claim?
All right, so notice how this debate has shifted from the factual.
Hold on. Rhetorical conjecture. This is how you're doing the better thing. So everything I've stated thus far relating to Donald Trump's indictments was a pure fact. You are stating
it's a repetition of a charge. It's a fact. You're a repetition of an indictment. Okay, now let's come back. I'll answer your question. You're like, this FBI, how is it that they would have... The truth of it is simple. You have a case against Trump. Trump is now going to have 75 attorneys on his side that are going to be looking into who else had classified documents.
Why they wouldn't help him win his case? It doesn't make sense.
That's one of the ways you defend is you show that this crime has been widely indulged in by other people and was not seen to be a crime.
Trump didn't expose this. They told on themselves. We have documents.
Plenty of people drive drug and speed and they don't get traffic tickets. The reality is the facts of the moral indictment.
No. You want to play attorney here? We can pursue the point. Okay. It is frequently the case that if somebody can show, in fact, this was part of my own campaign finance violation case, where we basically said Dinesh gave $20,000 of his own money to a college friend who ran for office, and he was $20,000 over the limit. Part of my defense was no American in the entire country's history has ever been prosecuted on a first-time basis for giving that amount of money with no quid pro quo and no benefit to himself, and prosecuted as a felony with an attempt to put him away for years.
But we're going to go with that. You lost that case, though. But you lost that case, so it's an example that it's not working.
Part of my defense was no one's ever been prosecuted on this because no quid pro quo and blah, blah, blah. But you lost, bro. But that was my defense. A poor one. A poor defense, might I add.
Okay, so in your fluid metric, if I lost the case, I must be guilty, just like if OJ was a...
Destiny gave the greatest example. You get pulled over for speeding, and there's 5 cars behind you that are doing the same speed. You don't get off because you were the one that got pulled over.
You must be innocent. But oh no, that wasn't the case. So
I'm just trying to talk about the facts of what
fluid. You have a fluid barometer.
It's not fluid. It's very solid.
So according to you, because I quote lost the case. Let me tell you why I quote lost the case. Here I am, an immigrant. I'm sitting in the office
quote
of
lost.
the District of New York, and I'm looking at guys.
God damn, how much coke did he do that he's just chugging water?
Very clear from what they say that they're like, if you don't plead to this case, we're going to charge you with bank fraud. I go, bank fraud? They go, yeah, because you took your money out of the bank. And they go, if you don't plead to this case, we'll charge you with mail fraud. I go, mail fraud? They go, yeah, because you put your check in the mail. These are the kind of people you're dealing with where they take what you did, they re-describe it 7 other ways. They then...
So everybody's bad when it's against you, but everybody's good when it's against you. I got it. Makes sense.
Find a way to say to you, look, you want to take your chances with a Clinton appointee judge in a New York courtroom where you're facing years in prison, or are you willing to plead guilty? Now, again, if you live in an imaginary America where you don't think that if they want to get a doctor, they charge them with illegally administering pain medicine, and if they don't want to get somebody, they find something on your tax return. This is something that happens in this country, sadly, every single day. And it's kind of hard for me to believe that I, a conservative, have to tell you this when the left at one time would have been nodding vigorously and saying, yeah.
Okay, the left is not in the room with us right now. Okay, so just focusing, I mean, like, if we go through the details of your case, I don't know if you want to do that. I don't think we have to do that right now. But if you're saying, I'm just curious, you said that this is a thing that happens all the time in the United States, this type of lawfare. So then did it also happen under the 4 years of Trump, and it's happening now under Trump too?
Is what happened in campaign finance?
No, is he abusing the legal system to go after political opponents that everyone else has done?
It remains to be seen, in my opinion.
Wait, so real quick, when Donald Trump puts out a Truth Social saying, Pam Bondi, my Attorney General, I want you to go after these 3 people. I think it was Bolton, Letitia James, and Comey. And I want you to use this prosecutor, illegitimately she was appointed, and that's why her case was tossed. And Pam Bondi files indictments against 2 of those people with that prosecutor. You're saying that this type of behavior is just part parcel of being the president? Or
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay, so this is an exceptional behavior of Trump that no one else in U.S. history has done before, right?
Let me say what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. You take a guy and try to put him away for life.
Okay. So it's...
That guy's going to be a little pissed.
It's revenge. It's revenge, but it's good. It's good to go.
Say that Donald Trump's engaging in immoral behavior, but he's doing an emotional response.
I'm trying to be honest with you guys, and you're jumping in as if you're trying to score like debating points.
I'm not trying to score debating points. I'm trying to say factual.
That's what I'm saying.
The president was mad.
Try to put yourself, try to have a little imaginative identification with the people we're talking about, right? So here you have Letitia James making the Trump's way of thinking anyway.
This is not the argument, right? He told them who to go after and in a text message and accidentally posted it to social media. No other president does that.
Utterly fraudulent case in which the bankers came in and said we were not defrauded, we did our own evaluations, we made tons of money on this deal, so you have fraud without a victim, and then Letitia James, well, New York was the victim. Okay, and then evidence comes to light, by the way, not discovered by Trump, reported on in the public media, that Letitia James, and by the way, there are other people doing this too, tries to take advantage of getting mortgage rate benefits by claiming multiple primary residences. Are you saying for a fact she didn't do that?
Correct. All of that has been tossed.
You're saying that Letitia James...
Her and the chair of the Federal Board of Reserve, whatever, they try to use this weird mortgage claim because it's apparently the only crimes that Donald Trump's familiar with. They don't know about classified documents. Yeah, they fabricated these charges. That's why they were tossed. For these two people, came out they weren't true. There was a mismarking on a mortgage form, I think, at the bank about it. Okay. If you look at the actual rate she qualified for, if you look at the actual underlying documentation, it's pretty obvious she wasn't applying for secondary or tertiary residences. It's also principal residences for the purposes of obtaining a low interest rate mortgage. That is, it was all bullshit, yes.
I don't agree with that at all.
What was I factually wrong about?
Hold on. And
there's no disagreement.
What was I factually wrong about?
Well, there is a disagreement factually. We can look at the facts of that case if you want. But the point I'm trying to make is this: if somebody who's trying to get you on real estate fraud is themselves engaging in real estate fraud, there's a certain delicious irony in exposing that in retaliation. It's not that you're framing.
It's revenge. He's mad. He's mad, so he's allowed to do it. You said it already. He was mad
for doing something she didn't do. Let's for a moment grant that she did it. Are you saying that because it's Trump, he doesn't have any right to bring charges against her, even if they're true? And moreover, let's say that they bring the charges back and she's found guilty. Will you change your opinion?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would change my opinion. Yeah, of course.
But just because they found her guilty, let's just say they
I would look at the underlying facts, but I would say, and this is where I'll grant to you, I'm definitely sympathetic of the president having these feelings. Maybe, and you can, I don't know, maybe we live here. Maybe it would be good if we had an independent attorney general who wasn't taking direct orders from the president, especially if we're saying he might be a vindictive man-child, and that person should have the luxury of operating independently, like in every other presidential administration past, instead of taking direct orders from the president, who might, as you just played out an excuse for, engage in vindictive prosecutions of political opponents.
We now know from the Biden years that all the cases, including the state cases, were being filtered through not the attorney general's office, but the Biden White House. Why do you think? Hold on. Well, it's not true. I mean, stating it doesn't make it so.
And I know, I agree. That's what I'm saying to you. Where's your evidence for any of it? Where's the evidence that her was influenced by Garland? Where's the evidence that her was influenced by Biden? Where's the evidence of Biden giving direction to Merrick Garland? Where's the evidence of NARA with the FBI behaving improperly with regards to Mar-a-Lago? Where's the evidence of Jack Smith was told by anybody to do his investigation? There's no evidence for any of this.
Let me ask you this. Sure. How many times did either Fannie Willis...
You're just asking us to assume this, right? You don't have evidence of any... You already asked us to assume that he was squeaky clean, then he wants to run for president, then everybody's going to get him. But where's the evidence of any of this? Any of it? Just one email saying, that son of a bitch, we got to get him. I'm sending so-and-so.
Or her lover show up in Washington, D.C. and meet with the Biden administration. How many times?
It doesn't matter. That doesn't mean it's filtered through the White House.
Okay.
The president is allowed to talk to anybody now, or else it counts improper.
So you're saying it's perfectly fine for them to go to the White House and have a conversation, but you know what? They were talking about a bunch of other stuff unrelated to these prosecutions.
Like when Donald Trump calls Putin for 2 hours and kicking out every world leader from the Oval Office, the president's allowed to have conversation.
I can't. I want to watch it all, guys. Go watch it. I'll drop the link. I got to go home. It's like 2 a.m. here. So I'll drop the link. Go watch it if you want to watch it. I'm going to watch it tonight, I'm sure. I can't believe I missed it. Thank you all for joining us. Please consider supporting the show. That's how we pay the bills around here. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'll try to be back maybe tomorrow. Definitely within the next couple of days. You guys have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one. I didn't realize it was already 2 a.m.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are.
I'm already getting sucked in. I can feel it.
Balls. You don't have balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go. I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, and to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, beating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped it to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine, with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you...
Good night, guys.
Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously.
My mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me a.